Hello everyone and welcome to First Blood. It's 2015 and it's our first show of the year and it's been the usual sloppy clusterfuck to put it all together. I'm Richard Lewis, your host. You will notice there's no Josh, no Nintendo. He's off playing in the Best Z NA tournament. I don't know why the fuck he's doing that. You need mechanics to play Z. That's a crazy decision on his part, but we wish him all the best. With me, as always, is Ram, the loyal co-host who doesn't play in tournaments and doesn't do a lot of much, do you, Ram? Okay, we'll just leave that one there. We'll move on. Awkward as fuck. Cheers, Ram.
I've just been streaming a bit, like playing some League, playing some WoW, just chilling.
Okay, just chilling. And our amazing guest that we've got today at short notice, and we're very lucky and grateful to have him. We've tried to get him on the show a few times. It is the Coast Jungler, the man who's been wrecking people with Rengar, among other things, and is now in the LCS after traveling to North America from the slums of Britain. It's a real success story, rags to riches. It is Matthew the Impaler Taylor. How you doing, brother? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good, actually. I'm just applying for my visa and chilling out on EUS solo queue. Bit of a shock to the system, but other than that, yeah, I'm really well.
Well, let's talk about that.
I've seen you on US solo queue. You seem to be getting wrecked a lot. I saw you. I think I saw you on two of Pinoy's pentakill videos, getting pentakill.
Oh my! That isn't even a good penta, man. Like he got.
I think I saw you on two of them. I saw you on two of them.
Only one, but okay, you can double it if you want.
No, come on then. So, why has it been a shock to the system? We often talk about the differences between NA and Europe on here. So I'm intrigued. What's been so shocking about it?
NA's just so relaxed. Like half the people who even play solo queue on NA don't care if they win or not. Compared to EU, where you'll get flamed to the ground the second you make one mistake. So it's actually nice. I welcome my EUS toxic brothers and embrace them. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm glad it's having a good time. I mean, also as well, this is the obvious joke that I've missed, is it must be a lot easier for you because you know we're so superior in Europe to our American cousins. Are you finding?
I wouldn't say that, but nah. Jungling on NA is pretty much the same. You just run around like NA and solo queue. They play. It's more about playing to your aggressive laners and not trying to shut down the enemy. So yeah, you just go when they're overextending and try and counter gank compared to just going and forcing ganks, which is more the EUS style.
How's things going in Coast? It was a kind of a surprise move to a lot of people after things kind of went a bit sour in Super Hot Crew or MYM as they are now. How have you been finding out, life out in the States? How's it all been, slotting together for you?
It's actually really good. I actually like a lot more of the Coast players as individuals compared to Super Hot Crew, where there was obvious tension between the players already. So
yeah.
And the organization, they get a lot of shit, which a lot of it is actually uncalled for. I mean, many organizations swap rosters a lot, and sure, the Korean thing with Ringer didn't work out, but as an organization, I figured there may be problems going in, but there's been nothing so far, and they've just dealt with me with the uttermost professionalism. So yeah, it's good.
What about Jesus? How's he finding it?
I presume he's doing well. I don't know. I don't even talk to him much. Is that bad?
Well, no, because the way it was kind of reported was like... I mean, it is bad, but no, it's not that bad.
No, he's dueling with Santorin. Jesus Christ, he's going with TSM.
Wow.
This is like the Shifter Nintendo situation.
It's all coming out, man. Are we being serious? Because no, the way it was sold to me when I was doing my digging like I do, going through everyone's garbage to get all the information about which players are going where. The way it was sold was like you weren't gonna go unless another European player went with you, so you'd have a U bro, to hang out with in North America, and everyone said, well, now that Jesus is going, Matt's definitely going.
Well, I wasn't gonna go if Jesus didn't go. So I guess you got that right, but
not for that reason.
And now you don't talk to him.
No, it's not that we don't talk. I mean, I say hey, how are you? How's your visa going? And we exchange pleasantries. But other than that, he just duels with Santorin, and I solo queue. It's a struggle.
The struggle is real. Speaking of struggles, how's the visa situation looking? Because I know there's been so many players that have gone out to play in NA that have been blindsided by the visa problems. Are you confident it's going to go through okay?
I'm hoping so. I already messed up once, so.
Really? What happened?
I just put the wrong thing on the form. You've got to put alien or something. Like, I thought it was a troll answer. You've got to put that you're an alien, but apparently it's just someone not from NA. So I put like non-immigrant worker or something. I don't know.
Wow. So you've learned lots. I mean, seriously, I've never understood it, man. Ever since the political situation has changed, visas now getting into NA are ridiculous. It's actually easier to get into China, I think. That's not even a joke. The forms are a nightmare.
If I may inject real fast.
You certainly can, Ram.
We're talking. Got a lot of hype during the expansion tournament for playing like really well. So when are people gonna realize that you're actually shit at the game?
I don't know, Ram. Who's playing in an LCS team and who isn't in this call? I think it's pretty obvious who's shit and who isn't. And I'm looking at him.
but seriously, this is why I wanted to bring him on.
No, I can tell. But you did wreck people in the expansion tournament, Matt. I got to say, I remember when we did our first interview together when you were still in Dignitas UK. Was at Gfinity, I believe, when I first met you. And we did an interview and you were still Matt the Impaler. We were all having a good laugh about your nickname. Yeah. So you've come a long way, and I thought you were ridiculously good in the expansion tournament. It was a very, very good tournament for you. Was that because, I don't know, the opposition wasn't so great and we're going to see a toned down Impaler in LCS, or is it actually you've been working so hard you are now at this unpreviously reached level?
I don't know. I feel like I have a lot more freedom to play, so I can take a lot more risks and stuff. But other than that, I haven't like jumped and improved massively. I've just kind of stepped up to fill the role that my team needed. And if I have more time practicing that, who knows? I think I can contest like top 4 junglers in NA. But it really depends on if like Rush shows up and if Meteos is still as good as he's going to be and will dominate, live up to the hype he's got now as well. So there's a lot of unknowns.
If you had to pick one jungler you were most excited to play against in the NALCS, who would it be?
Everyone's going to say Meteos, but I'm actually looking more forward to play Dominate. Just because, I think Dominate could be the best NA jungler right now, but I'm just not sure. I want to scrim them ASAP and kind of get a feel for him.
Okay.
And not in a gay way. No homo.
Yeah. No, when I first moved to NA, I was also like, Meteos is like, everyone's like, oh, we got to play Meteos. But Dominate was like one of the junglers I thought was like super good as well. So it's interesting that you saw that. All right, cool.
And just sort of a final question. I mean, do you think Coast are in a good spot going into the LCS? Because, I was saying how impressive you guys looked, and there were a few wobbles towards the end. You got there, you got over the line in that series against Fusion. And now that you're there, I mean, do you look at the other teams you're going to be coming up against and thinking, actually, we're good for mid-table, we're going to catch some of the existing teams off guard? Have you set yourself perhaps even a higher goal than that, or is it a case of let's just get into the league and stay in the league, consolidate our position?
Yeah, it's pretty much the latter. We're just very reminiscent of like early Super Hot Crew right now. We still aren't perfect. We're nowhere near from perfect, and we've got to go through like all the regular improvements that these big teams have already done. So we can't even scrim right now either, because 2 of us are in EU and 3 of us are in NA. So we're already coming off to like a bad start. But I think if we just play good this split, maintain the spot, and then try and like look for a much higher place next season. So we're probably looking bottom 4, but hopefully like I want to say we'll end up 6th or 7th, but I don't know, man. It's going to be rough either way. So.
Well, I hope you do well, and also it's probably just as well that Josh didn't turn up for this broadcast. It might have got a little bit awkward. Everyone's been spamming in the chat that Nintendo got impaled. Can you tell us what it was like playing against him? Was it an easy game?
I think they choked really hard after the 3rd game. It was painful because as soon as we won the 3rd game, I could just like feel a difference playing them. It felt like sometimes they just wouldn't go for fights so they could win, and generally they just lost a lot of their organization, and Glebe got caught out way too many times. It was like free hunting for me on Rengar. I could just run around pressing ult and know I'd get a kill without like any thinking. So as soon as it gets to that stage, it's a pretty free win.
Okay, right. So there you go. You're off the hook now. And there's no difficult questions. There's no curveballs. All you got to do is now just chip in from time to time and Ram will interrupt you.
Looking forward to wrecking Ram some more.
Make a couple of memes, man. That would be good. That seems to be all you. That seems to be all you're good at, you know.
Whoa.
Wow, brutal.
I'm just gonna leave you with that one. Enjoy.
Yeah, let him have it. Okay, so here's where I want to start. So we talked about Fusion. Big changes for them now that they haven't got into LCS, although I would say somewhat predictable changes. The first one, of course, was Macnoon leaving. And as he did, he screamed, "America, bye, America!" and just went back to Korea, which was always on the cards when they didn't get into LCS. And Glebe, who hasn't been able to overcome his kind of personal demons, so to speak, and balance the medication in the way he needs to be able to compete and have a healthy lifestyle. So Glebe has ended up parting ways from the team as well. How do you guys feel about this? I'll let you go first, Rams. We talked to Matt for quite a while.
I actually don't think anyone didn't see this coming. I thought Macnoon underperformed a lot in the expansion tournament. Yeah, and he definitely had good games on Poppy. And what I wanted to say when that happened was like, it's good that he showed him playing Poppy, because that's an unconventional pick. And like, if Macnoon is actually good on conventional picks and they waste bans on the Poppy, it could just be a waste of bans. But it seems that he was only really effective on that one unconventional pick, and he didn't really perform up to that level on the other champions. Like, his Rumble was lackluster in a lot of ways. His Lissandra was decent. His Jace was okay. His TPs were a bit off, but otherwise just didn't perform up to par. So I'm not surprised that he's off the team, whether if it's his own decision or his team's decision. But I'm a bit concerned of where they're going to find a replacement top laner, especially since a lot of the good ones have already kind of been taken. Flares is playing on NME, I think he is, and Flares is like known as one of the better top laners on NA. So I guess they've been trying out Chunky Fresh, which could be a good top laner. They seem to think that he's very talented. I'm excited to see that. But as for Macnoon leaving, it was kind of almost obvious.
Yeah. I mean, it was a strange performance for him, like you say. There was a lot of games where you thought, oh, right, he's doing well with this unconventional pick here. As soon as he gets a comfort pick, as soon as he gets something a bit more mainstream, he's really going to wreck people. But then it just didn't happen like that. And certainly in the game against Coast, I thought he was effectively missing in action. He really didn't bring a lot to the table. It certainly didn't help that Glebe had one of his worst passages of play. I think when he picked Alistair, was it? And
Alistair started boots.
Yeah, and he started boots and was it 0-10?
Yeah, it was a rough game.
So, I mean, what did you think? What do you think about it? I mean, are Fusion going to miss both of those players, Matt? Because obviously, Macnoon's a big name. He brought a lot of attention to the organization, even if he didn't perform quite as well as he could have done.
Man, we scrimmed them like twice. Macnoon dumps at our team alone. Like, coming from scrims, I had so much like respect for his play, because he went like 9-21 on every champion masteries, and then just played completely around TPing into aggressive bot lanes. And it worked so well against Coast, because Sheep and Mash, like, they play up lane all the time, and this really like shut down our style. But then compared to how he played on LAN, his Rumble ults were like really lackluster, his TPs were lackluster again, and I don't know, he just didn't show up like I thought he would, and I'm kind of glad he did, because if not, we probably wouldn't be qualified.
I mean, what about the Glebe situation? Can you empathize a little bit? Obviously, there are factors in him not being able to achieve the level that we know he can when things are going well. What do you make of the whole situation?
He's subbing in for an LCS team, isn't he? First weekend LCS. But,
yeah, I know he's a sixth. But again, I think it's unlikely to be an ongoing requirement of his.
I don't know. I think if he sorts out his stuff, but it's going to be difficult for him, because he's bipolar, isn't he, or something? So I don't know. You can't. It's already hard enough at times being a pro. Like, if you mess up a few weeks or an expansion tournament game, you get so much shit. So he's already kind of going to be under the weather, and I don't know. I hope he does well, but it was kind of obvious, like Ram said, that McNoon and Glebe were going to be off the roster after that expansion tournament.
What about, I read that interview you did with Team Dignitas, and you said in it that Fusion stopped scrimming against you because you weren't good enough, apparently. And I find this incredibly surprising because the intel I was getting when I was following the progress of your team was that in scrims you were wrecking people. You beat Alliance on a few occasions and this sort of thing. So why do you think they suddenly thought that?
I don't know. We played them like 2 games, and we're supposed to be playing a best of 5 or like a whole evening. And in scrims, if you get destroyed in like 10 minutes, you just pause and you go on to the next game. Because if you're at the point where you don't think you can win anymore and everyone's demoralized, you just do it. But they were really against that. They're like, if you pause again, we're going to stop scrimming. They didn't even say that. But that's what it came down to, basically. We paused 2 games in a row because pretty much McNoon TP'd bot. Bot got behind. Nintendo got like 3 kills somehow, even though I solo killed him like twice. But everything went out of control and we paused, and then we ended up not scrimming.
Classic EU flaming his team. Notice notice how he said every single person got behind except for him, who got 2 solo kills. Impaler.
I can remember like he was killing his blue, right? And I predict the flash. I'm Lee. I Q where he's gonna flash to and kill him. And my whole team's like, holy fucking Pallid, you can play Lee Sin. And I'm like, nah, this is just a fluke. But other than that, it was
no. You're right. You can't play Lee Sin, but like, you can leave EU, but EU never leaves you, man.
Yeah, I know.
Always blaming your team.
I know.
So, what do you think it means long term for Fusion? Because undoubtedly, McNoon brought a lot of attention to the organization and almost gave them legitimacy. In many ways, the McNoon factor was what separated them from any other NA challenger team. And now that he's gone, are they in danger of slipping back into obscurity? I mean, is that not possible?
I think they have the motivation and the funds to get into LCS. It's just a matter of time. From what I heard, they hadn't even planned to get into LCS. Like for this was just, if it happened, it happened, and really they were looking to next split anyway. So I think they'll be okay. From what I heard, they were gonna buy an LCS team as well. So
yeah, well that
fell through.
Yeah, that did nearly happen.
I'm thinking now just about the NA Challenger, because it was just released in the Riot article that the 10th place LCS team immediately gets dropped, and then the first place NA team gets into the LCS automatically. And I'm just thinking that when it comes to Challenger, the NA Challenger seems a bit like lacking in actual talent. Like there's Enemy, who now have Trashy, which could be good because I thought Trashy was actually really good on EU. So compared to the other NA Challenger junglers, he's probably like a lot better than them. I think Impaler can even attest that Trashy was a good player or something. What's your opinion?
I think Trashy would do well, especially in NA Challenger. Like, if I can do well, I mean, surely Trashy can do well as well, right?
I mean, if I could do well, then you could do
Ram got into LCS, so surely Trashy will be more than good enough.
But like Fusion just seems like the team that they kind of seems like the favorites, especially if they get 2 good replacements for McNoon and Glebe. I'm not sure who their tryouts are. Only know Chunky for the top lane. If they get good replacements, the attention that McNoon got isn't going to be anywhere compared to getting into LCS. And it seems that right now, with the talent that's kind of scattered right now in NA, that looks like most likely to be taken by Fusion to be first place NA Challenger.
I think it's between Enemy and Fusion. What other contenders are
there? Well, I would say, I mean, I know old acquaintance should be forgot in a new year and everything, but I certainly hope it's not Enemy, because those guys seem like dicks. Seem like real dicks.
I don't know them.
I've had a chat with them. They're not that bad. They're pretty cool guys.
I had some run-in when we were covering the NA expansion tournament. They were like tweeting like ridiculous shit. I mean, I think
it was just a misunderstanding. I'm telling you, I had a chat with them.
But I mean, misunderstandings generally happen when one of the parties are retarded, and I'm not that party. So if we think about it in those,
should we tell him the news, guys? Richard.
I know. I've double checked.
Richard. Look at me. Look into the camera. You'll be looking into my eyes. I'm sorry. You have autism.
we can't say that now.
No. We can't say retarded. Autism is okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
That feels worse.
I really don't think it is, Ram. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure you've got a fine coming your
on
way.
this, Matt. No, I'll tell you that
I love charity, man. I love charity.
retarded has a legitimate English meaning, which is that your intelligence is below that of an average person of equivalent age, and that word was appropriated and applied to the handicapped in a disparaging manner. So the actual word retarded is completely appropriate. It's this misappropriation of the word that's inappropriate, and that's why I feel comfortable using it.
You're just schooled, Ram.
Just saying. I mean, I would expect someone who wants to go to NYU to know these kind of things, right?
You're gonna bring that up all of a sudden?
Yeah, just throwing it out there, since we're having a nice leisurely chat about fusion.
That has nothing to do with fusion. That has nothing to do with fusion.
Okay, well, look, let's move on to the next topic then. We'll keep it NA. Zionspartan. We knew that there had been some kind of jiggery pokery going on behind the scene when he moved from Dignitas to CLG. Odie had made some comments on social media at the time talking about how his favorite type of eggs are poached. And we obviously knew that this applied to Zionspartan and Skara. We saw the ruling from Riot that Skara had indeed been appropriated in an improper fashion. Now it's come out that Zionspartan was as well, and it's quite interesting because it seems to be double lift. That's almost incriminated, himself in a way. They came forward and said that, yeah, we did have improper conversations with Zionspartan and they've been duly fined. So I just wondered what your guys' take on this was. I mean, first of all, on the poaching issue in general, because Ram, you and I both know this is actually way more commonplace than people think it is.
Yeah, so like Hotshot opened his wallet, looked inside, was like, shit guys, I can't afford another 10,000 fine, let's just go tell the truth. I think it's better that they came forward because like obviously that just lets it happen, but the fact that they're getting fined for it, people don't understand that this like happens every day. Like all it takes is literally like Impaler to message like some random EU mid laner who's contracted, yo, like Jesus sucks, can we get you? And all it takes is just that something like that. It happens all the time. There's been like a little bit of controversy regarding like Fnatic and the H2K guys, and like what they did with Febiven was like an agreed deal, but with Odo and Fjarnan it was not. Like the fact that people think that it's absurd that all this is getting reported, there's like 3 times more happening behind the scene that people don't understand. Like, I think the fines are good. It protects the organizations. Not that they really needed more protection, but it protects like contracts, and it makes esports more legitimized in a way that contracts kind of have to be followed. And it also lets players have more responsibility when it comes to like buyout clauses and dealing with their own contract. I like that it gives those players responsibility. Even though a lot of younger people, the only problem is that it can be abused. Like a lot of younger players, they don't understand like what they're signing sometimes. Like they can read it, but they don't understand it. I'd like it if there would be like a good, like, I don't know if a player union would cover like appointing people to explain contracts, or like a third party helping a young player understand contracts more. Like I think that would help a lot. But the fines are just it's like normal. Like it's not that surprising.
Matt, you've obviously been a player that's been in high demand during your illustrious careers. So without throwing anyone under the bus, when it was clear that you were leaving Super Hot Crew, I mean, were people having these kind of strange conversations with you? You know, where they're like messaging you and being like, oh, hey, yeah, here's Selfie is a bit of a dick to you. So do you want to come and join our team? And was it like that for you? Can you say?
You use the term left the team pretty loosely, but I don't know. I never got to the stage where I knew I was leaving the team to even have that conversation with anyone. So
perhaps it's a bad example, though.
Yeah,
to put it in terms that Twitch chat would understand. Impaler is me, and him on being the team was the table, and it just broke.
Okay.
Just while we continue talking, Sam's going to bring up a picture of a tweet.
Just like leaving a team and getting kicked are like 2 completely different sides of a similar coin. If you get kicked off a team, it should never be expected that you stick with the contract. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation I've been kicked from a few teams where I've been kicked and expected to stay on the contract. But if you leave a team and you signed a contract, you might have to stay on the contract.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, here's the thing, like, right, contracts. People like me, for example, we talk a lot about how contracts are there to protect players, and I'm very passionate about that. I don't want players to ever get ripped off by contract. Look at Brokenshard saying I don't get that picture. Do you really?
I don't get it. I don't. What is that?
Poacher's knife.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the poach. Okay, this item sucks so much dick. I've never bought it. Like, this item actually sucks. Have you ever bought it, Impaler?
No, it might be good with the double smite change coming though. Who knows?
So yeah, it's shit. Like, it's a bad item. I would never know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, well, Ram, I'm glad the penny finally dropped. But anyway, so I'm super passionate about players not getting ripped off. One of the things that I've dedicated a lot of my time to and have focused on while I'm out there doing my journalism bit is that players don't get embroiled in unfair contracts. But unfortunately, it sort of needs to go both ways. Well, not sort of. It needs to go both ways, and that the players have to understand that a contract that's fair and protects them needs to be honoured by them, and there's a bare minimum amount of behaviour that you would expect, and one of those behaviours that needs to become second nature to any player out there is if someone approaches you and says, hey, do you want to play for our team? You have to say immediately, I can't really have this conversation. I will refer you to my manager, discuss it with them. And I know players don't do this. I get sent logs every day. This is one of the reasons why I'm the scoop master. People send me Skype logs every day, and I'm kind of thinking, this is an inappropriate conversation. This is potentially tortious interference. And just to be clear about the distinction between, I mean, Riot have a rule anyway that if you approach a player, it's wrong. But tortious interference is a matter of legality. It's a matter of law. That's when you go to somebody who's under contract and encourage them to break their contract. And this goes on. And like I say, that's something that you can be sued for. So it definitely needs to be dealt with in a serious manner. One of the things I'll absolutely support Riot for is if they take a firm hand with this particular subject.
It would be comical if like H2K qualified via the expansion tournament, lose for Bivin, and then another 2 people get taken off the team because there's that foot in the door being for Bivin. Like, what's the point in them qualifying and then only having 2 out of 5 people at max on the original roster? It just doesn't make sense. I'm glad they're cracking down on it.
When I broke the story, H2K contacted me about the poaching that had supposedly gone on. And I'll say allegedly, even though I've seen the evidence. And it was very interesting the way that it had occurred. They had a deal with Forbidden, and they were actually, during the expansion tournament, saying to H2K, we really want Forbidden to sign the contract soon. So effectively taking a player who was playing for H2K in a vitally important future deciding game and not influencing, that's not the right word, distracting him about, look, we need you to sign this contract, we need you to sign this contract, we need you to sign this contract, which just shouldn't be happening at all. They were going to the player directly and basically pestering him to sign a contract while, he needs to be focused and to help his team progress. Then, after they had done the paperwork and done the agreement with Forbidden, they obviously knew about clauses that were existing in the contract for other players. And I saw conversations, and again, I won't name names about the people who had these conversations, but I saw conversations where they effectively said to other players, I think Hjorne, and basically said, if you want to get out your contract, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And that's shocking, frankly.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Okay.
I don't know.
So if I had known that Fnatic were pestering Febiven, like, as a coach, I would have just told them to, like, stop contact with them or block them for the period of time. Because from what I understood, that, like, the deal with Febiven was that he could play he had to play expansion at his best, and if he wanted to go to Fnatic, he could go. Like, they weren't going to hold him or keep him from, like, doing what he wanted. But that deal was only done with Febiven. I wasn't ever aware that they were just, like, constantly, like, every day, yo, we need to sign this. Yo, we need to sign this. Yo, why haven't you signed this? It's like a pestering ex-girlfriend. Like, why didn't you call me? In a way.
It's pretty respectable for them to even do that in the first place. and like offer him a way out of the team if he wants to take it by his own rights. So.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen often. It was surprising that they haven't happened because it's Febiven. Like this guy was the star of H2K in a lot of ways. So I guess they did it out of good faith. But that was like taking good faith and then punching it in the nuts in a way. Like that's.
I look. So I mean, on just kind of rounding this topic out, you know, I gotta say, do we feel players actually do need to be a little bit more savvy about the types of conversations they can have? Do we want to, you know, kind of get some agreement going on that players just need to, you know, because I don't think a lot of them are having it maliciously. I don't think they're trying to engineer moves out from the organizations that pay them a salary. I think perhaps some of them are thinking, well, this is a better team. I'd like to be there. But, you know, or this will pay more money. But ultimately, it's like Ram said right at the start of the conversation. If someone just adds you on Skype and says like, oh, hey, Impaler, really liked what you've been doing with your Rengar lately. We'd love you to join our new team and we'll pay you, you know, £1 million a year if you come and play for us. And, you know, you're probably going to be polite because you're British and say, oh, well, that sounds nice. And then that's it. That chat right there would be enough for you and that organization to be penalized. So, you know, I think players need to have this level of awareness. I've often wondered why Riot don't do, like, seminars or something and explain to the players. Do they do anything like that? Like, explain things you can and can't do?
I wasn't on LCS long enough to know.
There's the player conference where they teach you about like marketing yourself and protecting yourself from DDoS and all that, but there's nothing about contracts as far as I'm aware. Maybe it'll be added.
Well, yeah, I think it's something that we need to look at right now because, you know, it's unfair on the players that are having innocent conversations, but equally it's unfair on the organizations where players are effectively being tapped up illegally and moves are kind of done before they're done. There's nothing worse than an unsettled player like playing for you because they're not going to do their best. They're not going to deliver. They are going to be distracted. Interestingly enough, sorry, go on.
Sounds like Reckless. Like if fnatic held on to Reckless and not let him go.
Well, yeah, but this is the other situation. There was no way that was ever going to be feasible. The Reckless situation was absurd. The idea that they were going to, I mean, especially fnatic disputed that there was ever a buyout in his contract. They were saying that they were on a newer version of the contract which didn't have the buyout in it, and therefore they didn't have to honor a buyout. I mean, the whole thing was a clusterfuck. But ultimately, the bottom line is, if a player doesn't want to play for you, I mean, like, what's the alternative? Reckless could have just said, okay, fine, I'm a fnatic player, and he could have just played shit for, you know, half a split, and then it's like, all right, go, just get rid of him. You know, it's kind of a strange situation. I generally think if a player doesn't want to play for you, you've kind of got to find them somewhere else to go and play. You can't really make them want to be, you know, whatever your organization is, you know, a representative of that. But yeah, the Reckless situation was ridiculous. It's, you know, and I expect it's a situation that's going to come up time and time again. These fines are a step in the right direction, I think, but, you know, it's going to come up time and time again unless players are kind of given that awareness that you can't be doing this. And the fines are going to get harsher now because we've told you can't be doing this. Just while we're at this juncture, what do you think about Forbiven's move, Ram? Because a lot of people I'm talking to are like, Forbiven is going into that Fnatic team, and that Fnatic team sucks. They're going to have 2 unproven Koreans in it. It's going to be terrible. And he's going to really regret leaving H2K.
I think that an H2K with Forbiven had a lot of potential to contest the top 5 spot in their first split of EULCS. That's my opinion. So if he saw something on the Fnatic team besides like Yellowstar being the god tier support that he actually is, he's really a god tier support, then I'm missing it. Because the jungler that they got, Reignover, is not impressive in any real means. From what we know of him. Steelback is an unproven LCS AD carry. He has some good games in Challenger, and if he meshes well with Yellowstar, then it could be really good. And I have no idea who their top laner is. So it's a huge gamble that could pay off, but doesn't seem as feasible. H2K making top 5 is a gamble as well, but it seems like a more realistic one than than the current Fnatic lineup getting places. And Impaler is smiling, so either he's
Over to Matt. What have you got to say?
I don't know. I actually wish Forbidden stuck with H2K. I actually liked H2K's lineup how it was, and I think they had like a lot of young talent, and that's always really nice to see because the young players always have the most drive, and you see them grinding the most solo queue games, and you see them like willing to improve the most. And if you've got 5 people who really want to do that, then there's bound to only good things to happen. So I don't know if these Korean players are so good from Fnatic and like are even anywhere near as good as like what we think they could be, then maybe they'll be okay. But I'm still a bit disappointed no matter what happens now.
Well, it's going to be strange. I guess that brings us nicely onto the Fnatic roster. And there's lots to talk about here. I mean, they obviously haven't had a particular plan in place. And Yellow Star has talked about how, they're going to be back and we're going to announce our lineup soon. We've talked about the lineup a little bit. And we know Steelback's going to be the AD carry. So we're going to have that Gallic coupling in the bottom lane. Rainover, we suspect, is going to be their jungler. And so obviously Forbidden's going to be their mid, and then it's all about the top lane. They did attempt to have talks with Odwamni, but that didn't come to pass. Word on the street is they're going to get a fairly unproven, unknown Korean in the top lane. That's what I'm being told. But let's just talk a little bit about this Rainover chap, because, again, Matt, you're a jungler, so I wondered if you could tell us something about him and what he means within the context of a Fnatic team.
From what I remember of Rainover, he mainly played like Evelynn, Elise, and he played Olaf when it was a meta as well, and he looked pretty good. He was pretty good by Korean standards, but what was this, like a year or two ago now? Like a year and a half, so I didn't even know what he's been doing for a year and a half, so who knows? He could be really underwhelming. I mean, what Korean junglers have we had transition so far? Is it just Helios and now Rush?
Yeah, that was
and Horo, right? Horo's here now as well. So it's pretty much them 3 unless I'm missing anyone. And Rainover probably places middle of the pack with them, probably under Rush and above. Probably similar to Horo actually.
No, I think he's better than Horo. It's hard to be on Horo.
You think he's better than Horo?
Yeah,
From what I've heard, Horo's been doing really well in scrims, so... oh god, Ram, don't do it to me.
It was all a lie. No, I actually think Horo's a very underwhelming jungler.
Okay, well,
really?
From what I've heard, he's been doing great.
I've also seen a couple of the scrims. He's not like very spectacular. I think is the nicest way to put it is that he's underwhelming. From what we've seen of him, he doesn't seem to be very amazing.
Okay, so we think like Helios.
I think it's Helios.
Helios,
Rush. I don't know about Rush. So
Rainover,
I'm gonna put Rush and Rainover on the same place, and then Horo on the last.
Wow.
Well, so we're thinking he's gonna be the second best import.
Yeah, but
right?
that according to Ramps, that's also the second worst, right? So yeah, it's not right.
First off, I have no idea about Rush. Like, I've not seen him play on a pro team. I've not even seen him play a single solo queue game. So I actually have zero opinion on him. All I know is that he's placed very, very high on the solo queue ladder, which could mean everything and could mean nothing at all. All right? So we're just going to have to wait on that and see Rush. We actually have competitive games of Horo and Rush to look at, though we have a lot more of Horo and a lot less of Rainover. So from what I've seen of Rainover, didn't look amazing. His team was also probably not the best, but even on a not-so-great team, he didn't show much promise. But like Impaler said, that was like a really long time ago. So that could mean everything or it could mean nothing at all. But if we're basing on what we've seen, it doesn't look good, is what I'm trying to say.
But jungling is so important to have a good team communicating with you, and I don't know, it's so risky to bring in a foreign jungler. If there's language barriers and stuff, I'm pretty much going to say rip Fnatic, because Forbidden's going to demand a lot of attention around mid. We don't know who this top lane is even going to be yet, so I think there's a lot of room for error right now.
I think what's funny is that Fnatic looked to get a foreign jungler in EU. It's like all we have is like junglers and mid laners. Like, why would you look for foreign talent in a country, in a region, not a country, sorry. That was a lapse of the judgment. In a region that just genuinely has good junglers. Like, if we're thinking about it, Amazing was a free pickup for a long time until he joined Origin. Dexter is still a free pickup.
I'm glad you brought that name up, because on the same day that Yellowstar said the team were getting together to meet up, Dexter happened to tweet, and I'm sure this is a coincidence, but Dexter happened to tweet, "Tomorrow is going to be a good day." And some people picked up on that and tried to.
So Yellowstar's going to train and Dexter's getting laid. It doesn't really like. I mean, he's pretty good looking. I would, you know.
I'm sure he'll relish that opportunity.
I'm almost like 99.5% certain that Dexter's not going to Fnatic, and there's no like two-way street there. But I'm surprised that they actually picked up an imported jungler, and of all people, Reignover. I think we talked about this on the last show a little bit too.
I mean, well, so I don't think Dexter's gonna actually go to Fnatic. I don't see that happening, because there was an opportunity there prior to now. I'm pretty sure they had cursory talks. Let's put it that way. I'm sure there was a brief Skype chat that happened where he had the option. So let's not forget, Dexter was being tasked with making a team potentially for Copenhagen Wolves, and that didn't work out. So I don't know. I think Dexter's going to maybe sit back and kind of see where the chips fall before he commits to joining a team again. And certainly, which brings us back to the original topic we're talking about, I wouldn't want to be in that Fnatic team. Not now, not for their first split. I think it's going to be rough. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think Fnatic are going to be staring down the barrel of a gun here. They've got, as you rightly point out, Matt, they've got a very high chance of communication problems. They've got a lot of untested players in the team, be it because they've never played in the region before, or literally they've never played at an LCS level before. They're going to be pretty much all new players coming together for the first time anyway. 4 of the team that's going to apply to. They haven't got a coach appointed yet, I don't think, unless that's happened today. I think this is going to be a terrible split for Fnatic fans, and indeed for the Fnatic team.
I'll give you a hint. It's not me.
I could have took a guess at that, actually.
If there's any split to like try out a lot of people and try out untested foreigners, then it's Spring Split. So they've made a big risk, and at least a few of them are going to pay off. Like, Forbiven's bound to perform. He's one of the best up-and-coming mid laners. So if nothing else, they've already got a solid, like, firm middle chess piece, and they can work around that. I agree with you. I think Forbiven will wreck people. It's going to be... well, okay, there's 2 ways this goes. Either Forbiven feels comfortable with the team around him, he thinks it's a good move, he has no regrets about leaving H2K, and he welcomes that mantle of replacing XPeke, which means he's not going to get long to perform. If he has a couple of bad games, there'll be fans on his back straight away, and we've called him the tilt master in the past. We know he's not always the most level-headed of chaps when it comes to pressure. So he'll either relish it, and it'll be great, or the team around him will be so bad, and it could be an unparalleled disaster. Would you agree with that? Do you think there's a possibility of that happening? I mean, you would know better than me.
I feel like you're making a Febiven tilt meme. That's like old. Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
no, doesn't it? I don't know. You're the coach. You tell me. Has that been ironed out of his game?
Man, all I did was eat food at that house. I didn't do shit. No. I'm not sure. Like, it could be, like, no one is like susceptible to never tilting. Like, it can happen to even like the most mentally controlled players. So saying that Febiven is never going to tilt again ever is like saying that something that's
Ram will be good at jungling again.
Yeah, like that, something like that. Which, like, saying both of these statements are ridiculous. Like, let's be real for a second. It could happen, but I don't think that's like a huge problem. But he really wanted to join the team based on Yellowstar, and I think he might be happy. Like, I think he knew, if he thought about it well enough, which I'm hoping he did for his sake, that there were going to be a lot of issues coming into a team that was what's it called, untested or unproven. Not like H2K, who had a really good showing. So he's probably taken that into consideration. He's prepared for some things. And I think Fnatic are going to understand that Febiven is kind of like a star player on any team that he's on. He demands the attention from like the team resources, but when you give it to him, he has results. And I think that's going to be a lot of the Fnatic playstyle, is that it's going to be revolved around like a lot of the Febiven Starlight. And if they can keep good players on the team who play to that playstyle, I think they'll be fine. They just have to have their coaching staff identify that and create like the right atmosphere in the team.
Any chance that Fnatic are going to surprise everybody? I guess we've got to entertain that notion. It could happen, right? I mean, Steelback, a lot of people have said to me, Steelback's a beast, actually, that he's going to be...
He could be. Like, he's got good mechanics, but poor decision-making. And Yellowstar, a lot of people who have played with Yellowstar or have talked to Yellowstar say that he's, like, the calls that he makes, like, his game knowledge is off the charts. He's, like, he knows so much about the game, so it could be, like, another Chowster school where Yellowstar, like, develops a great AD carry. Which is funny, because he was developed into a great support. Or, like, he turned into, like, a fantastic support in one split. So, Steelback with Yellowstar, they're both French. I'm going to assume that that's going to play a big part in communication and helping him kind of fit into the team. You'd be surprised how easy it is to if you've never been in like a team like that, to have someone from your own country, especially when English isn't your first language. Steelback has a lot of potential to develop into a great player, and he's kind of like one of the few wild cards on the team. Like it's the entire Fnatic team. It seems that besides Febiven and Yellowstar is like three cards that could go, holy shit, this is amazing, or holy shit, this can't get worse. We just have to see which side the card is on.
So I'm looking at the schedule that's just obviously been put up today. Fnatic's first game is going to be against ROCCAT. And then they play Gambit. And they come up against Pinoy. Try not to have any nightmarish flashbacks there, Matt, while we mention him. So that's their two games. That's their two opening games. I think ROCCAT are going to be fairly solid. And I mean, Gambit just won IEM. So, I mean, I think it could be a bumpy start for Fnatic here.
Gambit look really good, and they have a really, really good support staff behind them as well. Yeah. Like, they look really poised. And speaking on to ROCCAT, they just got Nukeduck. I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a second.
Hang on, someone's telling me I'm looking at the wrong week.
Are you sure?
So, yeah.
Shit!
Apparently it's Alliance. Alliance.
Yeah, it's Alliance. My bad. Sorry.
That's just as bad, but Alliance came off a lot.
That's even worse.
I wouldn't say even worse, because Alliance looked kind of shaky at their own IEM when they were there, but it could just be motivation to get better. And I know they do have a support staff or a coach in place, so they can only get better. And as I say that, like, I probably jinxed everything, like it could only get worse. But they have a pretty... Is it just Alliance, or who else is it? Alliance and...
Let me have a look. Sorry. All right, so it's Alliance and then H2K, funnily enough.
Oh. So, Alliance would be problematic, but H2K, that's a match I really want to see. That's like a grudge match almost, like Febiven versus his old team. That match might not be the most difficult because H2K are kind of new, and if there's any team that Fnatic can take a game off, it'll be a new team.
Yeah, but you say that. I mean, keep in mind Fnatic themselves are a new team, and who are H2K gonna want to fuck hardest? Like, you know, in their opening week of LCS.
Probably a hot fangirl, not an 18-year-old Dutch boy.
Speak for yourself.
Well, it depends. Lulex has given Febiven a couple of weird glances across the room when I was there. It was a bit of sexual tension. But yeah, like, they understand Febiven. They played around him. Like, the team almost always, like, played around Febiven. So I guess if there's any team to give Fnatic a hard game, it would be H2K. But at the same time, it could go both ways. Like, H2K will be a new team. They'll have a new mid laner. And the first week of LCS is usually the challenger team's weakest.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I mean, if you look at the results, generally, challenger teams tend to grow into the season. It's not very often one hits the ground running. But I don't know. I think that's a game H2K will probably win. I think they'll be motivated for that game above all others.
No, for sure. But, like, I'm just saying that would be a fun grudge match. And it's not certain to tell who's going to take that. There's no clear winner. A lot could happen, you know?
Hell of a storyline for the opening week. Anyway, we're coming up to our first hour down. So just before we take a break, we'll talk about something that's really easy to talk about because it's probably been the most obvious transfer in the history of League of Legends. Nukeduck has joined ROCCAT finally. Who saw that coming, guys?
Not me.
Yeah, no one. So
I had him on like my ROCCAT friends group for like the past 2 months now. And every time I streamed, I would scroll past it. And people on the stream chat, like, I don't even get that many viewers, but people would be like, wow, ROCCAT confirmed to Nukeduck. And I'm like, yeah, it's like everybody fucking knew about that for 3 months now. Like, this isn't news.
now that it's finally a done deal, I mean, can we talk about what it means for ROCCAT just a little bit? Obviously, I mean, you know, they had a stand-in Ryu at IEM. I think we can safely say they're getting a better deal here, bringing in someone on a permanent basis of Nukeduck standards. What do we know about Nukeduck? Because obviously he spent a period of time banned.
He's a really good mid. Like, he's one of, in my opinion, the best mids in EU. The top tier quality mid, and Febivin respects Nukeduck as a player and as a person a lot. And Febivin doesn't like respect many players. He's got his like own mindset of who's a good player, and it takes a lot for him to respect him. So that must mean something. And we've seen Nukeduck in his premier split of LCS make the first place in the regular season, dominating a lot of legendary mids with assassins. And assassins are kind of good right now as well. Like LeBlanc, Ari, Zed are all good champions, which are all Nukeduck champions. So I expect him to do well in the EU LCS split. Not just well, I expect him to be a top 3 mid in this split.
So, Matt, do you share in those views?
Yeah, EU's done really well in terms of mid lane talent, because if you think about the 3 people that have been added, it's Febivin, Nukeduck, and Pepperino, like the Xera scripter, so...
You're gonna actually put
okay. Mid lane is gonna be explosive. That's the one thing that you can always look forward in EU is, like, explosive mid lane matchups. And me and Nukeduck have never really been friends. I'm pretty sure the guy hates me, but I still think he's a... yeah, Ram's nodding, so clearly, but... He is actually a really good mid laner, so I'm sure he'll do great on ROCCAT, especially with Jankos.
I actually don't have a quote.
Well, Jankos is, however you say his name, I don't know. But Jankos, whatever. Him and Nukeduck will win every mid lane 2v2. I'm thinking it's going to be like the new revitalized Brokenshard between them two.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how it pans out. You know, I've met Nukeduck a bunch of times. I've always found him to be quite a nice chap, quite a quiet guy, funnily enough. But we will see how it all goes, how it all pans out. Anyway, we're going to quickly cut to a break where we'll take about 5 minutes.
Sam needs to put the video on, though.
Oh, right. What video is this, Ram? What have you told my producer to do?
It's just the funny video that I saw.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, just before we play the video, we'll play that right at the break. What we're going to be talking about when we get back, we've got a variety of topics. We're going to talk about Team Liquid entering League of Legends and what that all means. The English broadcast of LPL and Riot kind of drawing in to their, you know, sphere of control, the LPL and OGN broadcasts. Nightblue has just been permanently banned while we were on air for doing a Bronze to Challenger stream. So I guess we'll all have a good laugh about that. And I look forward to reading his mewling, whining, pathetic, tepid apology on Reddit in the next hour or two in a bid to get unbanned and get his revenue back.
Let's all tip our fedoras in silence for the fallen Nightblue.
Wait, I've got it. Hang on. There we go.
And can I get a quack spam in chat for the new video?
Yeah, let's get a quack one. I've also got my Riot hat for when we get back. It just says "Obey" on the front. Hey. There we go. So I've got that. We'll use all the prop comedy when we get back. Ram will get his guitar out. We'll have a great time. But anyway, Sam, play this funny video, and then we'll take a break, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
LOL Esports and tag them using that hashtag LCS. Later in the show, we will be reading some of our favorites on air. Obviously not mine.
Not yours, no, for sure. For now, though, let's send it over to Shox, who is standing by with 2 of Gambit's subs, Nukeduck and soaZ.
Thank you very much, D-Man. I'm here for Shox supporter, joined here indeed by Nukeduck and soaZ, standing in for Gambit this week. But you guys are also, of course, members of NIP, so I wanted to start off by asking you about last week's Challenger Series final versus Cloud9 Eclipse, as that didn't go so well. Zoro, what do you think went wrong there?
The main part of what went wrong was that we played the last second sub.
He's in chat, dude. Nuke's in
Yeah,
chat.
Then we had to pick up Shackle.
Nukeduck in that match.
Oh man,
things
he's gonna
didn't go
hate
so
me
well,
even
and in
more
the
now.
studio, it hasn't been going that well for you guys. Are you guys struggling maybe with performing offline?
Can they hear us on stream? I don't know, this video is so fucking funny.
So you guys obviously didn't make it in the LCS now.
Yeah, now we'll take a break. We'll see you back in 5 minutes, guys. Hello and welcome back to First Blood. Hope you've all recovered from watching that Nukeduck video, which Matt's been apologising to him profusely in the break. What we're going to do now is we're going to basically round up some of the more juicier stuff. We've done all the transfers in the first half, but there's been lots of big changes.
Actually, we didn't get all the transfers. There's one smaller transfer, but it's still kind of effective to talk about. Is Gamers 2.
Okay. Oh, well, actually, okay. So just before we even go into the transfer, there's a big rumor going around at the moment that Ocelote's made the decision, some would say finally, to retire and just focus on managing the organization. I've had that from a couple of sources now.
Well, they picked up Perks. He's a challenger mid laner. I'm not sure if he's old enough to compete in the LCS right now, but he could be for the summer split.
I don't think that's going to affect Gamers 2 anytime soon anyway.
Nice meme.
Nice facts, I think.
Nice meme. So, like, I'm not sure why Perks would be playing with them if he wasn't, like, on the roster, because he's a very good challenger mid laner. Like, he's been pretty high, like 700 plus points. Good with the meta champions, so I'm pretty sure another challenger team would be wanting to pick him up, if not Gamers 2, right? So, I would expect that to be a solidified roster move. And another one, which is a little bit more concerning, a lot of people, maybe this is going to be more relevant to the people there who are EU, so all the NA people can go fall asleep, is that Yuki doesn't seem to be playing with the team anymore. I had the privilege to cast a few of the Origen versus Gamers 2 games, and looking at it as well, they were playing with different AD carries. They played a few games with a guy called Nardius, who is also quite a young guy. I think he might be old enough this coming summer to play. Also like a challenger AD carry, and a guy called Kobe, who is also 16, which is funny. Or he could be 18. I don't know, he's 18. Who's a Danish AD carry who played for a team for Zerg or something with Sencux and Wonderwear. They were fairly high in the challenger ladder last season. So they seem to be replacing their AD carry as well. So I guess Impaler might know about as much as on this as other people. But from what I understood from when I was on the teams, that Yuki was actually one of the better players on the team. But I guess you can talk more about what do you think about Perks and Ocelote stepping down.
Isn't this like some kind of mastermind move though, where Ocelote goes away for a bit, Perks is too young, Ocelote rises from the dead and carries them into the LCS? That's like the dream, right? I don't know. I think Perks is really strong as a player. From what I've seen, I've actually watched some of their games as well, because Cassing's still a good friend of mine and we're still in touch. And about the whole AD carry situation, I think they were just kind of underwhelmed with Yuki, and I don't really think he wanted to stay either, so that was kind of a mutual agreement. But I don't know too much about the whole G2 situation right now. But Origen, however, look really strong, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. They're a shoo-in. There's no one can really hold a torch to them in Challenger at the moment, and I imagine we'll see a few more teams emerge. Gamers 2, this new roster looks like a bit of a lottery.
Team Nevo with Julius, and Julius.
Yeah. Julius has discovered ways to clone himself, which we're all very happy about.
So Team Nevo with Julius, Hiva, Ika, Jeebus, and Smitty J. Smitty J, formerly of SKP. They're probably the other upcoming challenger team, like alongside Gamers 2, who would try to be competing with Origen. So the EU challenger scene looks a bit more developed. I'm interested to see more teams come out of it, but the ladder lock will be on the 12th, and I haven't really seen other teams really rush for that spot. Hasn't really been an exciting Rank 5's ladder, not like right before the expansion tournament.
So I want to ask you guys, this is just more of a general topic, but I'm interested. We said on the last show we did that one of the things that typifies the League of Legends community is you can be a dick, you can be bad at the game, but as soon as you say the word retirement, everything is forgiven. And someone will create a thread on Reddit, which will go straight to #1. Thanks for everything. You know, like we were calling you an asshole 2 weeks ago, but thanks for everything. So let's say, for example, if you did this Brokenshard, if you were to announce your retirement officially, even though you've been, you know, largely irrelevant for a long time now, if you were to, this is a joke, please don't get angry. If you were to create this, I'm doing a bit here, Ram, stay with me, all right? If you were to announce a thread saying, hey, everyone, I've decided to retire from League of Legends. I had a great adventure, you know, not really being in LCS a lot and dying to red buff and other memes that we may want to integrate. Thanks a lot for the support. There'll be a thread made within 5 minutes of that saying, you know, Brokenshard wasn't just a nice guy. He was misunderstood. He was a pioneering jungler in a lot of ways. He was a genius that we never really... And loads of people will be like, yeah, +1. I always said Brokenshard was good. Always said that. I always knew he was the best jungler ever to play. He played in 2 regions as well, don't forget. You know? So they would say all these positive things about you. Do you think that will happen for Ocelote when he announces his retirement?
That's such a mindfuck. That's actually a huge mindfuck. I don't know. I guess there. I think it would be a big divide. It would be a big divide, a huge divide actually, between fans who would say that who would agree. I think what it's gonna be is a lot of people would agree with the move and say thanks that he's finally like agreed with it. Like that's what people believe, and he might garner a lot of respect from the community because of that move, and it could be a good boon to his public image, which is kind of like having some issues from Reddit specifically and a lot of people. It could boost it a little bit and kind of help the repair of it, you know? Because it did for Reginald. Though Reginald was a lot less hated than Ocelote, he got his fair share of criticism and a lot of hate. And once he retired, he kind of solidified himself as a super good owner who made a lot of good decisions for the growth of TSM. And look what happened to TSM. They got first in the first time they got first place since Reginald was playing. And
which is hilarious, really, because I'm pretty sure Reginald is one of the few people above the age of 2 that would fall for the got your nose trick if you tried it on him. So the idea that he's some sort of super genius owner that's been, you know, propagated always, I always find it quite bizarre, actually. But that's just me.
He made a lot of good decisions for the growth of TSM, and there's no denying that TSM has become a big organization and very big to this day because of the decisions that Reginald made. So his track record as an owner is immaculate, almost, towards making good decisions for what we know. But Ocelote, on the other hand, is very far from immaculate. So it might be a little bit more rough around the edges, but I think that there's going to be a bit of a divide between fans who are still going to shit-talk him versus fans who are going to start to let the hate go away and start to try to, I wouldn't say understand, or just try to, like, support the decision, you know?
I've never really spoke to Ocelote, but after the whole LS thing where he didn't even get paid, and there's been so much shady stuff around Ocelote, and for a guy who's apparently put so much money into G2 and stuff, how he can't even afford to pay an analyst who actually does good work, I can vouch for that. So, I've never had a talk with him, but that's a really dick move.
Yeah, I think perhaps like there was perhaps a period where if Ocelote had stood down at the time many people were saying he should, and certainly his performances were indicating he should, I think it would have been a mostly fond memory. He's definitely contributed to League of Legends history. He was an interesting character. There is no doubt about these things. But instead what happened was we had this kind of prolonged period of PR missteps where Ocelote would say, we don't even need to practice against challenger teams. We're already LCS level. We'll beat everyone. There's only 3 teams in LCS that can beat us. And then they don't qualify, you know, for LCS. Or there was the incident where he said, hey, I'm making, what was it? How many millions was it a year?
$600,000 a year, something like that.
No, I'm sure it was in the millions. Either way, it's a lot of scarf sales.
A lot of money.
Yeah, that definitely weren't happening. Everyone else was scratching their head. Even Snoopy, who usually is quite understated, was like, "I'm pretty sure you ain't making that, bro." Like, so then there was that, and then obviously on top of that, we had the last Shadow incident, and then after that, he went on to that stream with Sky Williams and said, if everyone was like me, the world would be a much better place. Which, even if that was true, it's not the kind of thing you can really say.
Yeah.
People are never going to accept that as true. You know,
Okay.
it's definitely true for some people, but woe betide you ever say it. So I think he strayed too far now. I think he's gone into the dark side a little bit too much.
I'm
Too
a
much
believer.
different in person, like compared to this
no.
persona, though.
No, no. Well, I wouldn't say. Wait, I thought you were gonna say if he's like that in like person. He's like, people see him as like this megalomaniac, egotistical guy. I have very little personal issue with Ocelote at all, if any. He was a very, very nice guy. I enjoyed literally every second I was at the Gamers 2 house, except for living in the house, because it was really far. It felt like we were kind of closed in. Didn't have a car, couldn't get to town and just walk around. So that was like my only issue. I didn't really enjoy it, but Ocelote's a great guy. I think.
Did you get paid?
Yes, I got paid. I never had an issue with Ocelote. Like I've worked with him in the past, even before he started getting all the hate when people liked him, and I've never had like a business issue.
I have met him, and I always found him a joy to work with. In fact, at all the IEMs I interviewed him, he would make a point of at the after party when players, because you pros, you like to have your little cliques. I'm sure you're aware of that, Matt. He would be one of the guys who would come up to me and be like, hey, how you doing? You all right? Yeah, we're all having a drink. Pretty cool. See you later. And he would at least go make some awkward small talk for my benefit, so I didn't feel, quite so like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm old enough to be some of these guys' dads, And so he was obviously. I always found him a joy to work with. I think something happened along the way. I don't know where it was. I think, to be honest, if I had to give my own assessment, and this is just speaking candidly, I have no real insight into this, so that I'll qualify that right from the start. But I think what started happening was, as the game started leaving him behind and he became more acutely aware of the fact the game was progressing and leaving him behind and he couldn't keep up on a competitive level, it's almost like he tried to synthesize relevance, which you can't really do. And he thought, if I'm just out there in the media talking about myself and saying, hey, I'm earning loads of money, I'm super successful, people will read it, believe it, and in turn it will become true, almost like that bullshit documentary, I don't know if you've seen it, called The Secret, where lots of celebrities espouse that if you believe in good things happen, like some complete fucking nonsense. Like, explain that to all the people suffering in the third world. Like, you don't think they wake up every day and they're thinking, hey, I can't wait to starve to death this afternoon. No, they want good things to happen as well. It doesn't make food materialize. But anyway, that's the documentary. It's called The Secret. And I think he almost subscribed to this philosophy almost. But what he didn't realize was this is the League of Legends community. Then that they're going to see through that, and they're never going to forgive you for doing it. And I think
Reddit is so much smarter than that place.
Well, I certainly wouldn't use the word smart to describe it, but it's not as if it's a particularly sophisticated ploy in the first instance from Ocelote, is it? To say, hey, I'm earning money that I'm clearly not earning. Again, the owner of SK came out and said, we don't know where he's earning this money from. Perhaps he'd like to tell us what his secret is, because we'd really like to get in on this shit. So that's pretty much what the owner said.
I'd like what he's smoking and lots of it.
I'm still surprised that G2 is even together. I mean, you guys said it long ago after they didn't qualify that you thought this whole project would be shut down, but
yep,
he still wants it, so let's see how long his funds do last to keep up the G2 mansion.
I'm honestly surprised Ku's still fucking there. Like, let's be real for a second here. I'm still surprised that he's there. Because after they lost to whoever, they lost to N Faculty, there was like a screenshot of Ku basically flaming his entire team around.
Yeah. I was 1v9, he said.
And that's like classic Ku.
Yeah.
I know JWoww has stated that he likes Ocelote a lot. He thinks he's a great guy and he enjoys living at the Gamers 2 house and he enjoys being on the team. And if you enjoy something, you're bound to do good at it because you enjoy it. You want to get better at it. So I could see JWoww's motivation for wanting to stay. But if honestly, like G2 having Ku still is like a bit of a shock to me.
Yeah, but Ku obviously wants out. He must wake up every day thinking, whose dick do I have to suck? Like, seriously, because I'm ready. My mouth is ready. Like, he must be thinking that because
are you speaking from experience, Richard?
I think we've all been in a position where if we could better our lot in life, we would consider filleting someone to achieve that.
No.
No.
Just
okay.
you.
Well.
Just you.
No.
Okay. So when you go to your NYU induction, and the dean says to you, "Well, been looking at your grades here, Mr. Jamal, and
I have a 4.0 GPA."
I mean, that means nothing to me. I'm European. We have a good education system over here. But anyway, so these grades simply aren't going to do it. But you have a pretty nice, hairy, chubby face. And I'm sure we can come to some arrangement.
PG-13, man.
And you hear the zip. What are you going to do, Ram? That's what I'm asking. What are you going to do?
Oh my fucking god, that's gonna be giving me nightmares now. Fuck you, dude. That's
awful. How it works. You got to. But there's an old saying in journalism: you got to give action to get action, and you would do well to pay heed to that. So I'm not quite sure how we got to sucking dick. Where were we? Oh, Ku.
You keep bringing up NYU. No one knows what you're talking about.
So smooth, Mr. Lewis. Oh my god, so smooth.
No, we were talking about sucking dick and just like coincidentally, Ku's jungling has kind of sucked dick. So
Oh, brutal. I don't know. I still think he's a standout player on G2 though. For me.
He has the potential to be. Like I've seen his highs. His best performance is like ridiculously good, but his performances are really bad. In a few of the games against Origen, he kind of got wrecked a little bit, but not necessarily just by amazing, but just by the coordination of Origen. Just kind of like shut him down really easily, almost every game it seems.
But Origen's really good. It's a shame they didn't come together sooner because I think they could easily have competed in expansion and came out on top.
Well, yeah. Do you know what though? It is a shame, and the hindrance was all pertaining to the Fnatic contracts and the discussions that they had. Some of the discussions were held particularly late in the day, and obviously we suspect, I should say, that soaZ is likely to be their top laner. Interestingly enough, when I was doing my research into the new Fnatic lineup, apparently they were going to replace soaZ anyway. Before all the shit with XPK and everything went down and Cyanide and everything, apparently they were looking at replacing soaZ anyway.
But like, who's calling the
Fnatic.
shots? Who's leading that?
Because if it was the team, that would be a bit. I think it would have just been Fnatic didn't like the player if that was the case, because he's. I mean, nothing. I'm not going to say anything.
But I mean, I think we can say at this stage.
There's a guy.
I hate to say it. I know the Fnatic management. Fuck, I've gone for dinner with these guys. I've had drinks with these guys. I know the owner. Fucking Sam. I met his mum, who handles all the accounts for the organization. Fnatic have always done right by me. But as an impartial journalist, I can't ignore the fact that right now their management seems to be in some sort of free fall. I'm not just talking about League of Legends. The CSGO teams had a lot of negative PR attached to it. The Dota team.
That Gonzo award, the Fnatic boost thing that you gave. That was pretty funny.
We'll plug my awards. At the end. But the way the StarCraft roster is kind of diminished, which maybe that makes sense within the context of the game. Also having diminished, that Harstem's an incredible ambassador for Fnatic. He's a great guy and like a really good player, but he was formerly their academy player. He's like now their senior StarCraft player. He's like their star. I don't know why this is happening to Fnatic, and they've made a lot of questionable decisions of late, and certainly you don't cut loose a player like soaZ, in my opinion.
I mean, he might not be the best top laner, but he's definitely by no standards the worst, and a lot better than most other top laners in EU. We kind of seem to be lacking a little bit in that department, not going to lie. So it's good for Origen if he does end up joining them, which I have no idea if he is. I guess bad for Fnatic if their new top laner doesn't work out.
Well, I've got a lot of love and respect for Paul, and I hope wherever he ends up, he's happy. Certainly, I think the Fnatic journey, him and Fnatic, it's come to an end. I'm expecting that announcement any day now. I think it would take so much to turn it round, and if he does end up at Origin, they're not. You put that is such a stacked roster that would do well in the European LCS, I believe. I think it would be up there. So the idea that it's going to have any difficulties in Challenger, plus I know they've negotiated some pretty juicy deals like that Gaming.tv. I know that's been quite lucrative for them. So well done on that front. Anyway, let's not dally any longer on roster talk. Let's talk about Team Liquid entering into the fray, League of Legends. I broke this story before it happened, as is my habit. And Thorin made an interesting video about it. Again, as is Thorin's habit, he makes a video a day now. It's fucking ridiculous. Can't keep up. Well, let's talk about Team Liquid coming into League of Legends first. Everyone's been talking about how it's a great thing. They're a prestigious organization. It brings legitimacy to League of Legends, blah, blah, blah. I actually thought the NA scene was getting to the stage where pretty much every org now in the LCS was legit, actually. The days of Team Mon were long behind us. Is that true? I mean, Matt, you're out there now with a relatively new organization. Is the lay of the land looking nice and professional?
Yeah, I haven't had any troubles with like any of that kind of stuff in NA. I mean, the standard of both regions, both EU and NA, has stepped up, and with OGN and LPL all getting on the same broadcasting and the same like schedules, everything's coming into place to like synchronize up and hit worlds at the same time. So I think the league scene in general has just became a lot more streamlined, and yeah, overall it's just looking better for everywhere.
Ram, what do you think then? Talk me through this. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is a huge deal for NALCS." I'm not quite sure I would go that far. I think it's great that a prestigious organization are getting involved with League of Legends. That's always going to be good for the scene. But are people perhaps overhyping it a tad?
Well, one thing we have to discuss a little bit is that it wasn't necessarily a buy-over from Team Liquid, it's a merge. So the old Curse management have effectively become the new Team Liquid LoL management. Like, it seems that Team Liquid as an organization completely hasn't wholly merged with Curse, which would be a completely different ballpark. It seems that the LoL division may have. So that's one thing that needs to get out of the way. As for that, there's not really much to talk about besides that, they got a fantastic sponsor. Like, Team Liquid are a very well-known esports organization, very well respected, and it's only good for the NALCS that more well-respected organizations are getting their feet wet within the League of Legends scene, especially since Team Liquid has never had a League of Legends team before, and they bring over a lot of the fan base from other games, so we might be able to integrate some fans from the other games who would wish to support their Team Liquid team. In the end of the day, it's good for Riot, because based on that reason, Team Liquid is massive. They have a lot of StarCraft fans, and it could potentially bring a lot of those fans over to League.
Well, I've talked about this quite a lot, actually. Certainly, one of the reasons why I always felt teams were allowed to have these loopholes. So say, for example, the EG Alliance situation, which I'm pretty sure are more authoritarian. If it was a sport, for example, if it was a real sport and not a fledgling e-sport, I'm pretty sure that EG Alliance situation wouldn't have been allowed to have happened. It would have been, this is a clear conflict of interest. It's against the rules. It's against the spirit of the rules. We're not going to allow this, and it would have been stamped out. The reality is there were so many amateurish organizations at that time, like literally people who would take the block funds from Riot, not distribute it to players. They wouldn't attend the meetings. They wouldn't communicate with Riot on important issues or get details back to them. They were unreliable, but on a behavioral basis. You could, aloof when it came to attending events. And of course, anyone who's been to an LCS event knows the players pretty much get shepherded around You know, it's like, right, your game is here now, and a rioter will come over, and you go and you sit here, and there's rioters behind them and referees behind them, and you know, it's very controlled, it's very structured. So an organization that doesn't fit into that is never going to be welcome. And there's a lot of them that have created some horrible situations. We all remember, I think it was Vile Rose, was it, that did that blog where he was just talking about how he was like sleeping in some room with mold on the walls and everything was shit and his life was miserable. And Riot definitely don't want that. So they would much rather, if they could, if there was a way you could do it without having a conflict of interest, I'm sure they'd be like, yes, let's all have the same manager who we know is competent manage all the teams. They'd love that. They would love every team to be like an Evil Geniuses or an Alliance, because they know money's going to get paid out, people are going to attend meetings, there's going to be communication, two-way feedback. And obviously with Team Liquid, that's another organization you can rely on to be competent and above board and to not rip anybody off, and these things which are a very real concern. So I'm sure Riot will really love this, but mainly for that reason, not because, oh, it's Team Liquid. Ultimately, the thing no one's really said, Thorin alluded to it, I think, in his video. I only kind of listened to it while I was preparing for the show. But he alluded to it, and that is that Team Liquid are kind of coming into League of Legends now because they need League of Legends more, I would say, than League of Legends needs Team Liquid.
Can we just say that fucking Liquid has made it? Like, Steve, the owner of Curse, or the manager, has fucking made it as whatever he was. He went from being like a bottom tier support player on the team that was Curse to the manager to the owner to like in Team Liquid. Like, holy shit, that guy has made it.
You know, the only thing I'm really hoping from Team Liquid is the actual forum board for Liquid Legends is good, because there's no forum board for League. I mean, for a while there was like Arena Junkies and stuff, and I don't know about StarCraft and Dota and stuff, but we just need a decent forum board. They could make so much money off of having a decent like place where everyone goes instead of the LoL subreddit for discussions. I think they'll be okay. And yeah, you pretty much summed it up nicely. It's more about just another big organization being there and everything being easy. So what about this team they're picking up, though, as well? I think this is interesting because can you imagine if Team Liquid acquire this title sponsorship and people are talking that the former Curse, obviously now Team Liquid, which we'll refer to them as for the rest of this broadcast, could actually win the split?
It depends on how Phoenix or Miso or whatever his name is performs. He's the wild card here, and how Liquid and Piglet put together. How Piglet and Xpecial gel, but they have the roster to do it. They have a very solid top laner, a really good jungler, potentially could be really good mid laner, a potentially really good AD carry, and a great support player, who actually, in my opinion, the best support in NA, Xpecial. So they have the tools to do it, but will they break the 4th place curse? Meme. No, but it's like they have a good chance to do it. Like they look poised to be a top team in NA, like a top 2 team in NA. But will Cloud9, TSM, CLG let that happen? I said CLG. It's a joke.
I think they'll be first or second as well. It's going to be TSM Curse. Oh, TSM Liquid, sorry. My mistake already. They're going to be fighting for 1 and 2. I think C9 will place third. And this may be the first split that they consider a roster change after.
Why do you think C9 will place third, Matt?
I don't know if I want to go into it too much. I don't want to start this right now.
Oh no. Okay, well, so let's not start anything. But I mean, are there any hunches?
He's flaming. He's EU. He's flaming. Just say it. Just say it.
I just think that, but if there's ever a point where you're not willing to make roster changes, then people just get too comfortable on the team. And sometimes teams need, or players need, a kick up the ass. And if they're never going to do that, then eventually they're going to be irrelevant. And that's just how I see it.
Yeah, well, we talked about this in regards to CLG, and perhaps this is one of the reasons why Link has never been motivated to truly reach that potential that we've said for 5 splits or whatever it is that he's going to hit, you know, like, because obviously his position is safe with CLG. But I think it's interesting. I agree. If Cloud9 do underperform this split, they may be tempted to revise that policy. But I'm not too sure if they will. But then again, I do think Team Liquid could be top 2.
I mean, the thing about Cloud9 is that up till now, there has never been a real call to roster change because they've always performed well in the LCS split. They've always performed well in the playoffs. They've always performed well in international tournaments. Just like, why would you change a formula that works? They don't have the best mechanical players in all roles, though a lot of people will claim that Meteos and Sneaky probably hold the best position in NA, or some might even argue the West. They have performed well against teams that are much better. Like, them against Samsung Blue was a really good match at Worlds, where everyone just kind of expected Samsung Blue to stomp all over them. They did win IEM San Jose, though the games are a little bit messier than what we expect from Cloud9, but that could just be upcoming jitters. I'm going to go based on the evidence that we know, is that they're a smart team. They know how to adapt, and their players are capable of playing at the top level and have been since they got to the LCS about a year and a half ago. I don't think they're going to be bought at less than top 2. I think it might just be C9 Liquid in the top 2.
I just hope they don't get too comfortable, you know?
Like, you're right.
That's my worry, because I love them. I love all of their players, and I love their team, because they can win just by being the smartest team and making the correct decisions every time, then it works. Like, they won IEM again, so... Well, not again, but...
So let me just rewind a little bit here. So we're talking. This is a scenario that some people are kind of playing out in their fantasy land of League of Legends. We saw Krepo, who we know has basically been touting himself around in the off season. We had Wicked on the show, and it was like, oh, is he going to maybe go to Alliance as a player stroke coach for whatever reason, you know, that didn't work out. Then there was, again, everyone was saying, oh, the Riot thing's a done deal. He's going to be a broadcaster. I mean, look, they've lost, you know, Joe and D-Man, and there needs to be some more talent, and they need something that's going to get everyone excited. So Krepo's going to go there. And all of these scenarios have been touted, and then Krepo comes out today and says, well, I'm going to be with Cloud9 as a streamer, which seems...
Well,
kind of strange.
It's not strange at all, because in his explanation, he's explained that all these offers came to him. The broadcast, the coaching offer, but he still had passion to play the game. And when you, as a coach, as someone who stopped playing, and I have no intention of ever going back to being a player, it sucks your time away. Like, being really good at coaching, or trying to be a really good coach, you dedicate time into it, dedicate time to being a caster. You don't get time to fulfill that basic need if you were just a gamer and just want to play games. He kind of wants to do that. Why not make some money off it? Streaming under a big name like Cloud9 is definitely the right choice.
Which I absolutely agree with. But what people's fantasy land League of Legends scenario is that he's going to... Oh, I'm just streaming with Cloud9, guys, and then they're going to make Lemonation a coach, and Krepo is going to jump in and become their support player. Now, I think that's gibberish. It's not something I subscribe to, but this is what people are talking about. So what do you guys think about this?
I mean, I don't think that Krepo's ever going to not be relevant. He's a smart guy. He knows how to articulate himself.
Oh, he's a very smart guy.
He knows how to articulate himself. He knows how to market himself, most of all.
I was going to say, I've never seen a player that has such an acute understanding of public perception and how to manage media and everything else.
Yeah, people see him as like Mr. Nice Guy, even though his name is Scumbag Krepo. It's completely wrong. He's actually a huge cunt. No, I'm just joking. Krepo's a great guy. No, Krepo's a great guy, and above all, he's intelligent. He knows how to market himself, and I don't think any of those offers, like the Riot Krepo or the Coach Krepo, are ever going away. But he's still clinging on to this belief that he is a good player. And you know what? I'm going to have to side with him and say that, you know, he could be if he really, really wanted it and he practiced hard. And what better way to do that than showcasing yourself on stream? He's going to make more money streaming than on a challenger team. A lot of people are saying, why not play on a challenger team? No challenger team right now is good enough to have Krepo.
You can make more money streaming than you can on an LCS team.
That's also true. And the dual part, I think Cloud9 are happy to have Krepo, but they're not like, we need to have Krepo. Like, let's hold on to him. So if he signed any contract, if another team approached him and says, hey, we want you to play in Krepo's like, yo, Jack, can I go? He's going to be like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I think that's kind of, he's in a very safe place right now.
Yeah, but of course he is. He's in that most wonderful of places where people want you. Yeah, he's wanted. You know, he could walk into a team in Europe. He could walk into a team in America.
Wish I knew how that felt like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, dude. He could walk into it. He can walk into Riot's broadcasting room. I'm pretty confident about that. And equally, he could walk into a coaching role. I mean, literally, he is one of the few people I would say this off season that could actually choose their own destiny, like completely across the board.
Do we know what LCS offers he got? Because he said he got some.
Well, I'm gonna presume one of them was for coaching, at least, was Alliance.
Yeah, I can probably see that.
So basically, he didn't get an offer he wanted to play in an LCS team that he liked, so he's streaming for now until something better comes along. Is that what's going on? Or?
Oh, I mean, I presume
that's what I'm going with, unless like this whole C9 thing's gonna come together.
Yeah, do you not buy into the scene fantasy, Matt?
I could actually see it happening, and I'd actually quite like to see it happen, but
the XDs would be very big, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
Okay.
I just wish he was still playing, because
like that the chances of that happening are about as the same as Impaler being a top jungler in any region. So like very, very, very low.
I think Impaler's gonna wreck people, and I'm not just saying it because he's on the show, because I think it should be abundantly clear.
I'll bet you right here on First Blood.
Right.
The $1,000 on top 4 KDA for junglers.
Impaler.
Put your money where your mouth is, Ram.
Wait.
I'm into this. Put your fucking money where your mouth is.
On this show, if you have the top 4 KDA as a jungler in the spring split, including playoffs, if Coast makes it to playoffs, I will give you $1,000.
All right, it's on.
And if you don't,
I don't,
you have to give me $1,000.
Yeah, it's done. It's a done bet.
Everyone here on First Blood are a witness.
I'm trusting the bet with a drink. Here we go.
I'm gonna raise.
I am raising the apple that I ate. Fuck, I dropped it.
I only have water, but
yeah. I'll raise my phone.
Boys,
I love my phone.
It's Java.
$1,000. Top 4. You have to be 4th or higher to get this 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's done deal, Ram. I'm gonna be $1,000 richer by the end of this split.
Man, fucking that's great. That's almost as much as the LCS salary. So no, I'm kidding. It's a lot of money, folks, really. Right, let's rewind. I want to come back to the Team Liquid thing. So in Thorin's video, he said that it was a little bit ironic now that Team Liquid were kind of coming back to a game that they'd snubbed and been quite elitist about in the past. And I said this, actually, that I remember having this conversation with Hotbid when Team Liquid were effectively running Esports Express, not running it in the sense that they were telling people what to write on it, but they'd funded it, they'd provided the servers for the website. Hotbid was a contracted and salaried Team Liquid member, and I said, you write a lot about League of Legends, and you kind of mock some of the teams, and you actually gain traffic from lampooning this game, yet you don't support it. And in actual fact, you've kind of shunned good writers on your website. They did have a really good writing team at one point. And as soon as they picked up a Dota team, it kind of felt that, right? We're in the Dota elitist club now, fuck League of Legends. And now here they are. Now that StarCraft really is dead on its arse, and actually Dota, I'm not saying it isn't going to grow more, but for the moment at least, it kind of feels it's plateaued, and we're dealing with an oversaturation period. And now they come into League of Legends. What do you guys think about that? Do you have any feelings about that? Is it wrong, organizations kind of shun a game 1 minute and, are elitist, and then, now we love you guys? Because they'll be out there doing all the PR bit about how they love League of Legends. I mean, that's what organizations do.
I don't know anything about these guys, so.
Okay, that's good. We can move on to Ram. Nice and quick. You're still thinking about the $1,000. You're like thinking, fuck.
Yeah, I can see him keep smiling, and I'm like,
all I'm thinking about is all this the things I'm gonna do with $1,000. I don't know, man. It's just making me a little bit happy thinking about all the money I'm about to make of crushing your dreams.
To be fair, I would wager Impaler can spare $1,000.
Obviously,
dude, like
being a successful
you get high
esport.
KDA just playing Jarvan. You know how many assists you get with that flag?
That's true. That
Jarvan
is
is the biggest KDA player I've ever seen out of all the junglers.
Yeah, that's
you
pretty
put down
stupid.
a flag and you get 4 assists every team fight, and it's like herder, easy 1K. Thanks very much, Ram.
We'll see. I actually have no issue. Actually, you know, if you prove me wrong, I'd be happy for you because we're friends. Even though we banter and we talk shit, we're friends. Or at least I think that we're friends. I don't know what you think. I don't care what you think.
Can you do me a favor, Matt? Actually, and I'll put some money up first. I don't know how much. I'm only a journalist, so I don't make anywhere near as much as you guys. In fact, I'm looking at my first ever 6-figure income. You know, which isn't great for a man of my age, probably. So I won't bet $1,000 because I might need that for rent money. But will you play Morgana jungle for me in one game?
Morgana jungle.
Garner
Didn't Scara play it?
Yeah,
He did,
and he made that shit work.
I can see that.
Now, if Scara can do it, you can do it, right?
Yeah,
Keke said he would do it as a counter to Ramos. I've been countered by it in solo queue. It was really toxic.
Shame Ramos hasn't even played anymore.
Yeah, I'm just saying, keep it in your pocket, you know?
I don't know, Saint's playing like Carthus jungle and stuff, so I'm pretty sure Morgana could be played.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do. First I need to make my 1K off Ram, and once that's secured, then I'll toy around with some...
Yeah,
even if I lose, I'd be happy for you, because you actually finally became a decent player. That would be really happy for me to see.
I think I've just realised apparently 6 figures is big, you know, so I need to try and be more humble now and pretend I'm joking or something. But anyway, we'll ignore. Forget my earnings for a moment, folks. If you can just do it against, you know, when you play one of the shitter teams, you know, whatever EG.
We are one of the shitter teams, man.
Not a teammate have anything to say about this.
I disagree.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard.
What's the EG team called now? Is it WinterFox?
WinterDog.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's WinterDog. WinterDoge. That's kind of. I think that's actually quite a shit brand. I don't like it. I prefer Evil Geniuses. I know that for nothing. But WinterFox.
I don't know.
The fuck?
Isn't it to do with like them being young and I don't know. I read the bio for it. Whatever, man. Whoever floats their boat.
But anyway, just if you guys can beat those. So I would recommend playing Morgana jungle there. If you do it, I'll be knocked out. I'll be so happy. Like, you know, I might even that might be it. I might take the trip to the Dignitas clinic and die a happy man immediately afterwards. It would just I'd love to see that. I've never influenced a player to do anything before ever.
You'd be surprised. I'm pretty sure you have. You just don't know about it.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Matt. You're really kind. So
right, can we stop this gay homo love session and move on? Impact.
Yeah. You're just fucking jealous, Ram. You're just jealous. Okay, so let's talk about this. Is where Matt, you probably need to put your earplugs in actually and not listen to this or get involved. But Riot recently, they had it announced for them by yours truly, and then they announced it themselves afterwards that they would be doing an English broadcast of LPL. Now, what this means is, of course, that the current people who have brought the LPL to a Western audience in English, the LPL EN team of, Frost Corinne and Kelsey Moser and Pyrotechnics, to name the kind of more well-known trio at the top of that, are effectively, they're having their stream closed down, they're being phased out. And Riot are going to control the stream. It's going to be done by the Riot Australia studio. And they're bringing casters in, one of which we know will be Pastry Time, almost certainly. Everything else is up in the air. How do we feel about this, Ram? I'll let Matt just have a break. from this conversation. I wouldn't. Again, no, seriously, Nick Allen watches all. He's like Sauron. He just fucking lurks watching all of these anything media reports, shows. It all ends up on his desk. So you are absolved. But what do you think, Ram? Because I got to be honest, while I think it's a great thing that we're going to get a really good broadcast for LPL, which is going to be a great region to watch, I kind of felt that it was a real shitty way to handle things to effectively push out the people that had done so much to promote that region before the Korean influx.
On one hand, it's good that Riot are taking control of it, because it's about fucking time. Like, the LPL has always been an interesting scene, and especially for us Europeans, it's been a scene that has literally shat on us every, like, international tournament. Like, China has countered EU so hard, and so has performing consistently on LAN, but that's something else completely. It's really awesome that we're going to be able to see it, but, like, I know the people that are involved with it, like, Frostgurn and Elsie Moser, and, like, all the people that do LPLEN. They're really capable of it, and I do hope that Riot do give them some kind of job, because it was really them who tried to kind of pioneered it, you know? Like, they brought something up, and they kind of started something. Obviously, they weren't really able to finish it. Riot took over, but I'd like to see them have some involvement in it.
Well, yeah, but I want to see them have some involvement in it, but I think... Okay, so you don't owe somebody a living, but there is something inherently. Okay, so I talked about this on another show, so I'll word it this way, right? Do you remember the Riot, the loving, nurturing Earth Mother Riot that came to everyone benevolent and said, "Have you seen our game, League of Legends? It is the greatest of games, and you will enjoy playing it. Perhaps we can pay you to play it. What's that? You are a popular streamer? Here, have these Riot points. Here you are." And they were very, you know, fucking charitable and benevolent, and they promoted their game. They took people from other games and were like, "Hey, do you want to see our game?" The support they offered people to effectively promote their game was unparalleled. And it was due to the efforts of people streaming their game, and using the referral program and having this interaction with the community-loving, benevolent Riot that got the game popular, that it proliferated and reached so many people. Now, we have a community stream that's been around for a year or slightly longer, with people that have really... you know, as volunteers, not for any profit, pulled out the stops to bring people you know, not a high quality broadcast. I think I'd be exaggerating if I said that, but a decent quality broadcast, a labor of love, you know, an enthusiastic, passionate, community driven. It doesn't need to be super serious all the time. Let's just love the games. Let's love the region broadcast. Ordinarily, like in the 2010 Riot, would have done everything they could have done for them. But now we're entering into this new phase of the Riot evolution, where it's like, sorry, you've made, you know, it's popular now, there's profit to be had, we don't really give a fuck about your efforts, we're closing you off, we're shutting you out, it's ours now. And it was always ours, actually. We just gave you the illusion that you were contributing anything. In actual fact, we were letting you make money off our game. That's...
Just before I answer that, comment to that. Hey, Impaler.
You're such a dick. He's trying to make a serious discussion here, and all you can do is spam memes.
This is
what
it,
the fuck were you doing in Twitch chat?
This is why, Matt. I miss it when Josh isn't here. Actually, you know, he's the intellectual equivalent.
Okay, so you're absolutely right. Riot are taking control of everything. Whether or not that's a good or bad thing is yet to be decided, because they have proven that they have the capabilities to provide good production quality on things. So to definitely get their side of it, but you're right. It's been a very almost abrupt transformation ever since the creation of the LCS. They've kind of decided that they need to take a hands on everything, and a lot of people have criticized them for doing stuff like this, like you. But in a lot of ways, it can be a good thing. In a lot of ways, it can be a bad thing. But as long as the fans get good production quality and they get to view the LPL scene, I think Frostcorin and the people of LPL are going to be happy regardless. Because that was their goal when they created the whole LPL, is to let English viewers get a good glance at the LPL scene, and that's essentially what's happened. Gotta look at the
but now, if you and look, they're deeply passionate about the region. Those individuals are reaching out to Riot, and they're saying, please, like, we don't even want to be on air. We want to just help with the broadcast in any way we can, whether it's helping you guys, we can write up notes so you can understand the important narratives and this kind of thing. And Riot are actually, they've not given them an official response. They've been really aloof when it comes to that. In fact, I obviously got this story from an internal Riot source. And the things they were telling me, I was a little bit... I felt a little bit bad, actually, for LPL. I've got no relationship with these people, but they were just flat out like, Kelsey Moses, not a caster. She never will be. Her voice is boring, so she can't be part of the broadcast ever. Frostcorin, we don't like her edgy personality, and she'll have to keep her nose clean for 6 months on social media for us to even consider her. There is even well, I shouldn't get into it, really. It's not my place to say. But they've intervened in the past to prevent her working for other people. So they do not like the idea of Frostcorin, for whatever reason, representing League of Legends, which I find deplorable. Frankly, especially considering how underrepresented females are in casting and in analysis. And, far be it from me to suggest maybe, just maybe, Riot feel a woman can't be authoritative in the same way a man can, but they're okay for hosting and interviews. Far be it from me to suggest that, but I think
that's a bit of a very aggressive thing to say. Well,
dude, I think the proof in the pudding is always in the eating. And there are females out there, of which Frostcorin is one, that definitely have the talent to be involved in a broadcast, and she proves, despite this Yellow Star, Leona, Morgana bullshit that manifests every time she's talked about on Reddit, this is someone that proves to have an in-depth knowledge of the Chinese scene, which certainly seems relevant to her being afforded the status of analyst. Now, more interestingly, Pyrotechnics, who I think is one of the best casters outside of the existing LCS structure, is, or rather was, I have no idea where he is at the moment, but he was in an interview process. And people, again, from my internal sources at Riot, fed it back to me that the likelihood of him passing that, now that the story had been leaked, were very slim. And I think that's appalling. I think this is an appalling way to treat people that have done a lot of good work. I'm not saying these people deserve a job, but they deserve an opportunity to prove themselves at least, right?
No, that's true, but to say that Riot are purposely not letting Frostcorin get involved because she's a woman is a very aggressive statement to say. She's coaching Roar.
Yeah.
If Roar gets into LCS and they say no Frostcorin, that might be.
No, but right. So it's not. She'd be allowed to coach. That isn't a problem. I'm talking about from a broadcast perspective. Female, right? Okay. Think about what you do as a commentator. Think about what you do as an analyst, and think about what you do as a host/interviewer. Riot seem to be okay, and in fact, I've had other hosts tell me when they've applied for hosting roles, they've been told, no, we much prefer a female in a hosting role. So Riot have this idea that a woman can be a host and interviewer, yet for some reason it doesn't seem to be quite as welcome that they're commentators and analysts. I find that interesting.
That's interesting.
It's a trend, that I've noticed, and I'm sure people will say, well, Richard, you're being, you know, anti-Riot again. You're known for doing this and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, they'll also say there isn't a lot of female commentators and stuff. But doesn't it strike you odd that no one has used Frostcorin before, given her clear talents, given her clear personality, and given her knowledge of a scene that's growing, burgeoning? Everyone wants to know about it now.
She was with RMU for a long time, so people have definitely used her expertise.
Mm.
I mean, it's been there, but I guess no like incredibly huge, large organization has used Frostcorin before. Or that you're right, we haven't necessarily seen a incredibly super high and successful female caster in League of Legends and esports.
Mm. So I'm just saying. I think
it's a really rocky subject to talk on, and I'm all about being edgy on air.
Well, no. Look, obviously, I'm always going to be the edgiest. There's no doubt about that. I am the king of edge. But no, I think we need to look at this. You know, Riot wants to be a progressive and inclusive company. There's no doubt about that. It seems to welcome diversity. Well, wouldn't it be nice to hear a female casting voice once in a while? I'd welcome it.
Well, Twitch chat would definitely welcome it. Impaler, what are your opinion on women?
He loves them in all their forms.
Actually, I can like interject briefly. The only real interaction I've had with both Frostcorin and Kelsey is like really basic stuff, like asking about Chinese streams when they're on, like how do I get this annoying like side-scrolling text off across my screen, and they've always been really helpful and really nice in general. But I've never had anything in depth. I don't know. They seem like they've been. They seem like they've been mistreated. If they're just trying to help out and stuff, then fair enough. At least give them some credit for what they've done. Other than that, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on.
Well, that's good, and keep it that way. Now we'll steer away from this, and we need to start wrapping up the show. I guess we could talk some more about Riot and OGN, but I imagine it's going to be more of the same, where I'm going to get accused of being salty.
I will never call it LCK. I will never call it LCK. Fuck that. Always be OGN.
Well, I mean, for starters, LCK, like when I see it, the word that immediately appears in my brain is lick, which is really, yeah,
it's not really, just me. It's not just me. Like,
yeah, no, it's, well, I mean, it's interesting that the two larger gentlemen think that way. Perhaps Matt, as a skinnier individual, probably he doesn't see the word lick. He probably sees, I don't know, something else. But you know, for me, they should probably change it. Wasn't there talk about it maybe becoming KCL?
KCL sounds better. KCL sounds like it. And we're back with KCL. Next on the list, Helios punches Cloud Templar. More news on that at 6. Like, that sounds like it would be more professional. The LCK doesn't roll off the tongue. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like OGN. OGN is like has become that familiar face that people go into the chat and the subscribers kind of know each other. That's one thing I'm definitely gonna miss. Is fucking around in the OGN chat and talking to people there, because it saved itself from a lot of like the disgusting and awful Twitch chat that we see in the Riot games, because people actually need to have money to subscribe. And the 13-year-olds that go on Twitch chat and spam, hey Impaler, or hey Brokenshard, or shit like that, they aren't there. They can't afford it. They don't want to pay for it. They can't get their mom's credit card. It was actually mature discussion in the OGN chat, which is awesome. And that's one thing a lot of people are going to miss.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to miss, you know, having to pay for a higher quality stream, which Riot have said that they're not going to do that. But here's something that I think, and you know, I won't. There's so many. I could have done a whole show on just these two topics. So apologies to people who are watching that think we've maybe glossed over this or been a bit brief. Plus, it's awkward for Matt, and Ram doesn't have a lot of memes at his disposal to throw into this particular conversation. But what I would say is,
talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what I would say is, here's what I'm worried about. When you listen to an OGN broadcast with like Monty and DOA, it was very unique. They would call out players for being bad. They would say like what he did there it sucked. It was really stupid. I think I heard the word dumb on more than one occasion when I listened. They would talk about, you know, perhaps the meta game not being great. They would effectively talk about things that any other commentator for any other game would be allowed to talk about. But when it comes to a Riot LCS broadcast, and I've only seen this one other time actually, and that was when I was working with CGS. CGS had a list of words you weren't allowed to say when you were commentating. So, for example, when you were doing Counter-Strike, you couldn't use the word terrorist, which, you know, it's a bit of a big fucking deal. You had to say the offensive team or the defensive team. You couldn't use the word bomb. You had to call it the package. So they didn't want terrorist terminology in a broadcast, which, okay, fair enough. But with Riot, it seems that they actually don't want a commentator to say a player played bad. They want to say, oh, well, perhaps that was a misjudgment, or I don't see what he was going for there. Or perhaps what he meant to do was this. Monty will say, this guy sucks. That was really dumb. That was a bad move. And that while for some that might be a subtle difference, that for me makes all the difference. It made listening to that broadcast more real, more authentic, more like real sports. Because as Matt will know, when you listen to a commentator on Match of the Day and you hear them and a player has missed an open goal from 3 yards out, they don't go, well, I think he meant to score there, but actually he missed, and I don't know why he did that. They say, oh my God, what a howler, that was terrible. You know, so I'm really worried now that with Riot controlling this OGN broadcast, they are going to try and bring Monty and DOA in line with what an LCS broadcast is. And that's going to be, you can't say players are bad anymore. You can't say they made mistakes anymore. You can't say the metagame is stale right now. All of these things are going to evaporate and disappear from that broadcast. Yeah.
Two things. That one, Glory Arsenal. Two, on the Reddit thread that they was posting that, someone actually voiced their concern, and Doe replied, I wouldn't worry about that. And in the game that we were watching, I think it was today, yeah, it was today, with the Faker pentakill, and ooh, what a great play. It seemed that their casting was a lot like what it used to be, and it didn't really change. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it stays that way, but if Riot haven't, like, pushed down on that now, would it change, like, in the future?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no guarantee long term they're not going to want to alter it radically. And, you know, Monty's been quite critical of Riot in the past. You know, whenever, you know, they've made a mistake or done something he deems to be a bad move, he'll often talk about it on social media. Now that they're controlling the broadcast that he's going to be primarily associated with, how long is his future within a Riot context? You know, I don't know. This is the problem, you see. Riot, I know they just seem so sensitive to criticism of any kind. They really don't like it, and they do all they can to push anyone who offers it away. You know, like get away from our game, get away from our broadcast. It doesn't seem a very good environment for growth, or indeed for a diversity of personality, diversity of viewer experience. It's almost like they want a cookie cutter caster, which we saw in the Europe, you know, in the NA. Sorry, I think it was expansion, where they were making all those cringe-worthy jokes, which actually brought the level of the broadcast down because they were trying to be the Riot, doing it the Riot way.
Oh, I really like Doa's and Monty's, like, original casting style. Doa always making Star Wars references every time. I was ready for it and I loved it. And I like how they were brutally honest about things that went wrong. I mean, if someone messed up a TP, they'd be the first to tell you, and that was respectable from casters, because after hearing so much, like, filtered down commentating when people make mistakes, it's refreshing to hear someone say when someone's messed up without having to, like, obviously see it and with it being overlooked by the casters. So I hope it doesn't get toned down, and I'm sure it will to some extent. Like, there's bound to be some level of toning down, but as long as it's still to their roots and similar to how it was, then I'm sure a lot of the OGN Legion will be happy.
Ram, any final thoughts before we move on to the Nightblue topic?
I hope that they stay the same. It wouldn't be surprising if Riot tried to change it, but I do hope that it doesn't get to that. Hasn't happened yet, so I guess we'll stay impartial until it does. But I think a lot of people are upset with the change, particularly about the whole OGN chat being like a really nice area to have a mature discussion. That's like a huge deal for a lot of people. So hopefully they don't change more, because then I think people will start getting angry.
Okay, so obviously we were a little bit over time, so let's try and let Matt go to bed or do whatever it is he does with his nightlife. I dread to think. To be 19 again. But let's
ladies, I heard Matt is single now. So
wow, I so hope it wasn't a bad breakup, because if it was, Ram, it's like, you know, just because someone's single doesn't mean they want to be single.
Happened a while ago, so it's okay to bring it up now.
So it doesn't mean he's still not going to be fucking drinking bleach. You know,
the distance between me and Ram's mum really started to like become a problem, so I had to cut it off.
Do you mean literally? Like when you were on top of her? You were just so. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, dude. So, Ram's mum is a saint.
The fuck?
She's a lovely woman.
About my mom, Richard?
No, you'll wake her up, Ram. She's asleep next door in your house, not in mine. I'll stress that. But anyway,
fuck did you just say about my mom?
Well, come. We're at the stage where we can insult each other's families. Look, you can have my mum. I wouldn't give a fuck.
I wouldn't touch your mom with a 15-foot pole. She's probably a hairier version of you.
You're not far off. That's how Welsh people tend to breed. You reach a certain level of hairiness, and then it's like the scene in Gremlins where they get wet after midnight and you just pop out. You know, it's all good. But anyway,
let's talk about the toxic NA player getting banned.
Yeah, let's talk about Nightblue's ban, because I gotta say, I think this is hilarious. I'm really quite pleased about this. I probably shouldn't be that transparent, but I can't be bothered to lie. So I'm really pleased about this, because you know, he's somebody who I think as a streamer is incredibly overrated. For me, he's a great example of how the Twitch method of popular streamer works. It's you get on the front page and then you just snowball from there, because people click because you're on the front page. And, you know, there's a lot of people say, oh, his streams are so educational. Okay, point one, they're not really all that educational, actually. I've watched a lot of Nightblue. It's very blasé, a lot of it. It's very basic information that, you know, you would need to be incredibly noob to not know a lot of what he was saying anyway. The advanced stuff doesn't really, you know, seem to register. But equally as well, how much can you learn from someone that's never played at the highest level or competitively anyway? You know, in a game that is designed to be competitive. He might be a solo queue hero, that's great. But, you know, his flirtation with TSM aside, he's certainly not achieved anything. I'd much rather watch a professional player. That might just be me. So the other thing that really bugged me was, you know, he got a lot of heat over some disagreement with Cutie Pie or something. Like Cutie Pie fans hate Nightblue fans, and there was some mad tribalistic war going on between the two of them. And he created this awful thread. It was awful. And it was like, basically, how can I be a better streamer? How can I be a better person? Reddit, guide me. And I, honestly, if you're asking that subreddit for advice about how to be a better human, you are fucked. I mean, you are unequivocally fucked. That is not the place to look at all. It's just not going to help you. And this pandering to them, like, please keep watching my stream, because obviously he hasn't realized that no popular streamer lasts forever. So I find it brilliant that he's got banned, and for no other reason than, you know, it's just fucking funny. It's great to see someone who has been so fake and continuously like desperate and grasping for that streamer money actually have the means through which he makes that money removed. What do you guys feel?
He got banned for losing promos on purpose, right?
Well, so some people are saying he got banned for losing promos on purpose. Others are saying he's got banned because he bought an account so he could do a bronze to challenger stream. Others are saying that Riot have noticed him doing a bronze to challenger stream. They don't like it. They've given him a permanent wink wink ban. That's going to wake him up. He's going to cry about it, and then they're going to unban him. Pick one.
The most likely is that he bought the account because it happened.
Well, I'm glad he's not immune to the rules. Every LCS player gets behavior checked and stuff.
Why would he be
background checked? Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Oh well, I am not Nightblue's biggest fan. I don't like him. He said a lot of really shitty stuff about me off stream when I was first at NA.
Really? What did he say?
Called me a random. I wasn't on the account named Brokenshard, so no one knew who I was, but I was playing high elo. It was my account, but I had to use a different name. And I took his jungle, and he complained about it the entire game. Flamed me. And then I went against him, and I thought it was jungle, and then I shit on him, and he flamed me. And this was all off stream. This is before I even knew who the guy was. And I didn't like him from that moment on. Just bad relationship, bad first impression kind of changes that. And expressing my opinion of him to other people, a lot of people shared the same way, and they've given me their first-hand experiences of it, of why they don't like Nightblue. So,
could you don't need to name names, but could you share some of the anecdotes they've told you?
That he was a whiner, kind of blamed his teams in solo queue, used his fan base as like a way to, like, he would say something on his stream and his fans would just like reiterate it. In a way, like using a fan base to kind of get a point across. Just a lot of people didn't necessarily like him from the people that I talked to. Just based off his attitude in solo queue, or just thought that he wasn't a very good player.
What about, I mean, do you rate him as a player? Have you ever watched him play? Do you think, he is good? I mean, obviously you're a Randy, so try not to... Try not to go off the deep end, but I mean, again, whenever I watch his advice on the rare educational moments, it always seems kind of obvious to me, and I'm not a particularly high-level player myself, so.
Jungling in solo queue is like the most different role from jungling in competitive. Like mid lane is similar between solo queue and LCS, top lane is similar, but jungling's completely different. So you can be a really good solo queue jungler and bronze to challenger stream or whatever, but you can still be a shitty LCS jungler. So I don't know. He was good, but that doesn't make him an LCS caliber jungler. Like, sure, he can teach the like main population who play LoL, but that's never going to make him an exceptional player.
His jungle style is super selfish, which is take all the buffs, take all the this, try to hard carry with champions like Kazakhstan and solo queue. That's going to work. Like, I've always been a shit solo queue jungler. I think the most I ever got was when I was on something like 500 points challenger, which isn't that high. I've always been shit at solo queue, but that's basically, I think he's a good solo queue jungler. He got really high on the ladder playing solo queue. But a lot of people aren't necessarily criticizing his play, more his attitude. And a lot of people, especially like the Redditors, like, has Nightblue changed? Like, he seems to be whining more on stream or something. But this isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about the account ban. And what I think happened is that he did a bronze to challenger, Riot checked his account, and he bought it. Which is most likely what happened, because...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are messaging me now saying that is the truth.
You don't just get a bronze account. Like, you don't just wake up and say, I have a bronze account. It actually takes effort to get to bronze. Like, believe it or not. If you are half decent at the game, it will be very difficult to get placed in bronze. Let me make that absolutely clear for you. So, the account was probably bought, and they found out, and they just took it away.
Is that fair? Because I mean, okay, so I'm going to play a bit devil's advocate here, even though I'm not too keen on the old Nightblue chap, or indeed this entourage that have surrounded themselves around him. Where, for example, last time I criticized him, somebody added me to tell me how much he earns per year and how his thread on Reddit wasn't faked and contrived, and he really did want to become a better person. And I was just like, yeah, if he does, then that's even more fucking mental than if he's faking it, But so I'm not particularly a fan, but just play a bit of devil's advocate. He's a popular streamer. He does a lot to promote League of Legends, and by doing bronze to challenger stream, which I know Riot have said they don't like because it's not fair and blah blah blah. But when a good player does a bronze to challenger stream, they do two things. They show first of all that this Elo hell myth doesn't exist, and that if you get good enough, you can carry yourself. By playing a certain way, you can carry yourself out of it. The other thing it does is it encourages people to put the time in to pick up and to play. So it doesn't just give you the hope. It sort of shows you, it gives you the motivation to play as well. Which I would say are two different things. Now, when you ban a popular streamer, that's effectively encouraging people to play the game. Isn't that to the detriment of what Riot want? They want more people playing the game.
There was also a post on Reddit, and a lot of people have also explained, is that the grind to 30 is obnoxious and filled with people who are smurfing. So anything that kind of puts a bad picture to the whole grind to getting to the level 30 account or even past that, climbing solo queue, people who watch on a very popular streamer like Nightblue, is gonna give it a bad name. Because there's the LoL community has always been an issue. Well, not as big of an issue as other communities, but it's been a very vocal problem. A lot of people are very vocal about trolls and AFKs and leavers and smurfs, flaming, shit like that. And I think that's their biggest concern with the bronze to challenger, but I don't think that's the main issue here. I think it's just legitimately just he bought the account and that's it. It's not allowed.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping it's not overturned, because I think this is a guy who probably has needed a bit of an awakening anyway. That he wasn't a popular streamer, he was a popular League of Legends streamer. They are not the same things. People were never going to watch Nightblue play chess, or begging some obscure game like a run through of Chrono Trigger on a Super Nintendo emulator. No one was going to watch that. And actually, he doesn't come across as very personable on his stream at all. But he, for League of Legends, he does what it says on the tin. You get a jungler. He's a hard carry jungler. He has more good games than bad. He gets very passive aggressive. Kind of Wings of Death style when things don't go his way. But it's watchable. I understand why someone would want to watch it. I think there's better streams out there, but each to their own. But without League of Legends, what the fuck's he gonna do?
He makes serious bank streaming League, though. That's the thing.
When they told me 1.2 million a year in streaming revenue alone.
Wait, Nightblue or
Nightblue? Yes.
My God.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of subs, lots of viewers, lots of ad revenue.
It's crazy.
It happens, dude.
If you're earning 1.2 million streaming LoL, you should probably have more respect for people who put you there.
Yeah,
and the company as well. Buying accounts.
Well, it's not even about that. Obviously you should never have respect for Riot. Fuck that. That's my stance on it. But you should certainly think about whose bed you want to lie in. You may have no respect for them, but suck the corporate dick. That's crazy money, right? So it does seem a bit of a strange way for it to end. My gut feeling tells me though is he'll go cap in hand. He'll make some apologies. He'll promise to never do it again. Lesson learned. He'll be unbanned, and they'll probably insist on him making some Reddit threads to let everyone know how benevolent and wonderful Riot really are, actually. So I think that's what'll happen.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna get unbanned. We all know it, but
yeah, it's definitely gonna happen.
Okay. I don't like Nightblue. I don't like Nightblue, but he's not if he's toxic, if anyone wants to say he's toxic, he's not that bad. He's not you're gonna get permabanned bad. Let's be real here. He is not a detriment to the LoL community at all. He's about as harmless as a fly to the LoL community.
He's not a detriment.
There are people active that are still unbanned that are. And I'm not gonna name names.
Well, okay, you're gonna have to kind of name a name. So how would it mental?
Maki Makesh, Impaler.
Oh.
Who's that?
God bless Maki.
Yeah, there we go. See, He's
it's
a well-known
the high elo community.
high elo community US. This guy, he's toxic as hell. Like, no one fucking likes him. He's awful, and he's a huge detriment to the League of Legends community. Fucking Darkwind Jackson Season 2 used to stream, like... His stream used to be the funniest shit ever. He just, like, openly flame everybody in, like, high elo, and obviously he got banned for it. But, like, he's not a detriment to the LoL community. He fucked up with the account buying or whatever he did. We don't know. They've not made a actual announcement on it. But he's not a real detriment to the community at all. So, I think we're good here. I think he's fine.
Okay. Well, no, I agree that there's probably he's definitely not a detriment. In fact, the point I'm making is he's not really a detriment. There's a very solid counter argument to say you shouldn't ban him at all because he's a good ambassador for things that Riot actually want to promote. But equally, I think he's been living in something of a what we call in the UK a la-la land. I don't think he's been entirely cognizant of his own limitations, and this has been part of the problem with him. You shouldn't be. For me, I think all the truly successful streamers, they're streamers who stick to a shtick and the mask never drops, or you're yourself and therefore you don't have to wear a mask and therefore it will never drop. Unfortunately, what you get with Nightblue when you watch him is it's all super nice, super positive. And then he loses a game. And then he loses another game. And then you start getting little glimpses of the real him, kind of bleed through into the stream. And it's like, okay. Things seem to take precedent over what he's supposed to be doing, which is, sure, he's getting paid for doing it, but he's ostensibly advertising an educational and entertainment service. I don't necessarily think he fulfills either criteria particularly well. I don't think he streams the most educational I've ever seen, not by a long chalk. I don't think it's the most entertaining. It certainly isn't. So, what are you? You're popular for the virtue of being popular. And those streamers in League of Legends, they never last. You think about who was on the front page of Twitch 18 months ago. Awesome. League of Legends-wise streamers. They're not there now. And obviously some of them have taken deals with Azubu. For example, or other streaming platforms. But a lot of them just fell the fuck off. The novelty wore off and the interest faded. And I think Nightblue was living in this kind of, like, say, a la-la land, where he thought that was never going to happen to him.
I think people are just overreacting. It's just one account banned for a reason that isn't even toxic. Like, he's not a dick to every single person in solo queue to the point where he's getting banned. And, like, people are screaming that they want his head. Like,
it's actually multiple accounts have been banned. Actually,
yeah.
Oh, he got all his accounts banned. Oh, that's a problem. Okay, then it might be more than a bot account. Or
I think that's Riot of getting his attention.
Yeah, it could be a wake up call. And if he responds to the support ticket, they might appeal to him. Or this could be a repeat offense, and I just did this. That's really gay. It could have been like a repeat offense, and we would never know if it's been a repeat offense. You know. So,
well, indeed, we actually don't know what the real reason is.
Yeah, we're speculating here.
It could be some rioter gone through. That's happened in the past, like play against a rioter and end up banned.
Let me say something big here. It has to be big if they've banned all of his accounts.
Well, I think that's to gain his attention because they know.
Because players who have been banned for a split, I don't even think they get their main account banned. Or they do, but not their Smurfs. And you have to list all your Smurfs for Riot. So that's another thing, is that people who are banned for competing in the LCS don't even get all their accounts banned. This has to be something bigger.
Well, no doubt it'll come tumbling out of the closet like a grotesque skeleton in the next few days, and I look forward to reading about it. Anyway, I think we should wrap up the show here. I feel very sorry for Matt. He came in at the last minute, and we've already taken 35 minutes extra of his precious time where he could be making bank with Team Coast. So with a couple of things that we didn't really get to talk about, obviously, was Team Impact. Impact. And the other thing is Alex Ich just broke while we were on air. Apparently, he's going to be playing with a challenger team. I was looking into this, and my good colleague William Turton, a journalist who's very underrated, has obviously brought it over the line. So he's going to be playing with a team called Brawl.
Didn't he just say that he was happy with the fucking Russian Starlighter team he was on? There was just an interview recently on it. It's a bit strange. Alex has had a very not so elegant fall from grace. People still seem to hold on to the fact that he's a top tier player when that's probably not the case right now. Not saying that he can't get back to that, but right now it's not. So if he does end up on this team Brawl, could be a decent team. With my good boy Shorter Ace on it.
It's got Shorter Ace, Lopali. Trying to look who else is on there.
I don't know the other two.
Isn't Baby Zeus a mid laner?
Baby Zeus.
Isn't Baby Zeus a mid laner, or am I mistaken here?
Well, according to sources, Alex Itch will definitely be in the mid lane. So, okay. But anyway, so I mean, I think that'll be interesting. They've declined to comment on the story, which in my experience means it's 100% true. So we'll see how that pans out, and you can read that at the Daily Dot, and I urge you to do it. Also, a quick mention of my own end-of-year awards. They're finally out. The first part is, anyway, the Gonzo Awards. You can read this at the Daily Dot. Just put in the Gonzo Awards 2014. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to read them. But so far, just to give you the appraisal, worst LAN performance of the year went to CLG in the NALCS Summer Playoffs when they got 3-0'd by Curse after their Korean boot camp. You can read about that. Worst decision of the year is in CSGO, entitled I'll Just Boost You Up There, from fnatic. The most irritating fanboys, TSM, win it hands down this year.
The French winning twice in a row.
Dude, if you'd ever followed French Counter-Strike source, you would know exactly what I was talking about.
No. The French League of Legends scene can get a bit overwhelming as well.
I generally find the French are a bit nationalistic.
Defensive and nationalistic.
They want to win everything, even if it was a fucking tiddlywinks contest.
I'm about to get a lot of flame on Twitter. Like, I have nothing against the French community, but they don't seem to like me very much.
And the final award in this first block, the other one should be out tomorrow or the day after, is Worst Manager of the Year, and this is of course serious. It goes to No Day Chu, I believe it's pronounced, which was the manager of AHQ Korea, that basically bullied his players until one of them decided to throw themselves off a building, which is unfucking precedented even in this shitty business of esports. So I urge you to go and read those. But on a much more upbeat note, let me finish the show by saying first an apology. An apology. I don't always do these. I don't know if you know the chap Brian Caudry. He's the guy who was managing the team formerly known as EG. He hit me up on Skype when we were talking about WinterFox Gaming and what a shit name it was. And he said, if you think about it, other teams have silly names as well. Think about it. Team Solo Mid, Counter Logic, Team Coast, Oh,
Impaler, you got
Don't hate on Coast, man.
So, and then he just messaged saying, I'm just fucking with you, ha ha ha, because I think he was worried I'd screenshot it or something. But I apologize. WinterFox is a great name. It's a manly name. It's not a lame name at all, and I'm sure the team will be super successful.
So when I first heard WinterFox, it reminded me of a band that I'm really into, like a heavy metal band that probably is called Winter Sun. So that's a bonus. So that's what I instantly thought, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I don't have a really big issue with WinterFox. I mean, I would know plenty about dumb names. I was on Dragonborns after all. And To Be Determined and Determined Gaming. So
I don't know. Unicorns of Love still remains one of the worst. I mean, put it this way, Matt knows a thing or two about bad names because he was on Super Hot Crew, which up until Unicorns of Love, it was hands down the worst name I think I've seen in the LCS.
I need to say something as well. Apparently, mine and Brokenshard's bet is off, and the Riot's rules 10.3 or something. I cannot gamble over results of LCS games, and I already have a big old dick coming from behind me, and it's coming for me, Rab. As much as I'd love to take your money, Apparently, I am not allowed.
Wow, that's fucked up. Well, how about this then? I'll take a piece of this action and say that Impaler's going to do it. I'm allowed to bet.
You want to move it down to $100, make it a bit more affordable for you?
No. I mean, let's do the 1,000. Let's do 1,000. That's what.
No, it's fine. Brokenshard will meet behind NYU wherever you're going sometime, and there'll be an exchange of a brown envelope from you to me at the end of the split, okay? I am messing though.
We keep talking about NYU. We keep thinking about
even Sam says Sauron's got you. You're going to get Nick Allen. Well, there we go. So our little bit of fun has been ruined by Riot. Ripperoni. But anyway, look, we'll end the show. Matt, I want to say thank you.
Just give me a sec. I'll just talk about the NYU thing. That's like my little announcement. So, for people who don't know, I'm not really doing anything right now. I took a long think, and I've decided that I'm going to take a break from major esports for the next 3 to 4 months, which means no, I will not be head coaching an LCS team. Won't be involved with any team in particular. In February, I have a trip to the States, visiting my uncle in New York, and I will be touring NYU University. I applied for them in the past, and I received a very prestigious scholarship. And I don't think I'll get another scholarship, but I can afford the tuition. And NYU is a school I really want to go to. So if things don't work out after 4 months, then I decide I will go to college and retire completely. But just a break for 3 months for now and figure out shit in my head. Take a break, relax, sort stuff out in my life. I'll have like a written announcement. I'll be doing a lot with the challenger scene in EU, like potentially starting my own tournament and funding it. Casting, streaming, chilling, being on Twitter, viewing parties, just hanging out a bit. That's my big announcement.
And of course, this means, unlike Josh, you can commit to First Blood. And doing some casting with me this year.
Can be in First Blood more often, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, well, not more often. No, once a week is fine. But we need to start casting some games together, I think. Do you know how many people have messaged me saying, please watch my bronze team play ranked? And like you and Brokenshard? That would be fucking hilarious. I really want to do that this year. I'm not even fucking around. So we're going to do that. But anyway, Ram, I'm sure you're going to do very well. And just remember the scenario I told you about earlier with Dean. Zip. You'll get in by hook or by crook. Anyway, all that remains to be said is, Ram, thank you very much. You are a great co-host, unlike Nintendo, who I hope never makes it into LCS again for not turning up. Matthew, thanks. Thank you very much for being a wonderful guest. Whenever a British person comes onto an esports show, it brings a touch of class, I think. And you've certainly kept that trend and tradition going. Do you have any shout-outs that you need to make, other than apologies to Nick Allen about gambling and whatnot?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone for supporting me and coZ, and Jez's as well, because he gets a lot of shit. So yeah, just thanks everyone who's been there for me, especially my family and friends. And yeah, just thanks.
Awesome. Matt, well, I'm really happy for you. You're a great guy. I knew you had incredible potential the moment I first laid eyes on you. And it's great to see you living the dream. Anyway, that is going to be the end of First Blood. I want to thank all of you lot for tuning in. First show of 2015. We're going to have more bits and pieces coming at you on this channel. We'll be back next week with hopefully, a Nintendo in tow. We can talk about the future of Team Fusion with him if he's ready for such a thing. But until then, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves.